This is the penultimate leg of the 2018 series and time is running out. This weekend the world's elite horses and riders will converge here at the historic Arras de Jardy in Paris in search of those vital series points. Who will dominate in the dressage, who will shine in the show jumping, and who will conquer the cross country? This is Eventing Reinvented. This is the Event Rider Masters.
The International Eventing Show here at Arras de Jardy this weekend hosts some of the world's best. Located near Versailles on the eastern outskirts of Paris, this famous stud with its unique architecture and the centuries-old stables, coupled with the extensive first-class facilities, mean that the series battle continues in some style. The top 5 place riders are all coming forward with big hopes of adding valuable points in their quest for eventing's ultimate prize. And with 14 different nations represented, there is a truly international feel to the competition. Yesterday, it was all about the style and the grace of the dressage. And today, this morning, it was all about the jumping phases, because the coloured poles this morning and then this afternoon, the thrills and the spills of Pierre Michelet's cross-country track. We cannot wait to get underway. A big afternoon for French sport, and our first guest commentator is a Frenchman, so we're looking forward to this afternoon's action. We're delighted to have you with us wherever in the world you're joining us from. Settle down, relax, because you will not miss any of the action here at eventridermasters.tv. Derm Byrne in the studio with me. Derm, big afternoon.
Big afternoon. Going to be another speed test, another cross-country speed test coming up as far as I can see from now. But let's wait and find out.
Well, we can't wait to get underway. But it's not just us here in the studio. Let's go and say a very good afternoon to Hannah, who's in the thick of it.
Good morning, or good afternoon, should I say, Nicole. We are here right in the heart of the cross-country course. This is the water jump, one of the biggest questions that may well cause some problems. You've got 3 aspects for it. You can see the first part of it this afternoon, and then it goes into the 2 skinny brushes. Of course, to remind ourselves that we are in France, we have the obligatory Eiffel Tower. Certainly lots of very big and challenging questions.
Well, the leaderboard has already moved in the show jumping. We expect it to move more in this afternoon's cross country, but it is leg 5 in the series. Chris Burton is the series leader at this stage. Can he hold on? There's a number of others clipping at his heels.
Leading the charge is Australian Olympic eventer Chris Burton, who's placed 1st and 3rd in the 2 most recent legs.
Chris Burton, Polystar, they've won in Arville. They are inside the time here at Barbary.
Following an exceptional performance at the St James's Place Barbary Horse Trials at leg 4, he not only became, according to the Equi-Ratings Wizards, the fastest rider in the eventing world, but he also clinched the overall series lead from Laura Collett. Collett returns on London 52 after the pair's stellar ride at leg 3 in Arville, hoping to regain top spot. Gathering late momentum to rise up the leaderboard after a 3rd place at Barbary, last year's series winner Gemma Tattersall arrives with 14-year-old mare Chico Bella P.
Wow, Gemma Tattersall, Chico Bella P clears the last inside the time, 29.1. She'll definitely be in the final 10 riders.
Having placed 4th at leg 3 in Arville, a podium spot for the pair in France would see her pile the pressure on the top 2. Just 1 point behind Tattersall in 4th, New Zealand Olympian Tim Price's recent performances haven't bagged him the points he was aiming for. Hoping to bring out the big guns in France following some time off from top-level competition is his 4-star winning horse, Westgate, suggesting Tim is more serious than ever and hungry for a place on the series podium. And in 5th place, heading into leg 4, is crowd favourite and most capped Event Rider Masters competitor Phil Leonard, who's competed at a staggering 14 of a possible 17 legs so far since the series' inception in 2016. Finishing on the podium for the very first time at leg 3 in Belgium, Levitt and Shannondale Titan are no strangers to putting in big performances. If they can finish well at Jardy, they will surely be in the running for a podium place going back into the series finale at Blair Castle in Scotland. However, with big players such as world number 1 Oliver Townend, double 4-star winner Janelle Price and current world champion Mikkel Jung all vying for a place on the leg 5 podium, the Jardy Eventing Show could be the tipping point for the 2018 Event Rider Masters.
Well, let's take a look at the series leaderboard. This is how things are shaping up after 4 of the 6 legs this year. Best 5 counting scores. Chris Burton, well placed this weekend. Can he climb onto the podium as he did last weekend in Barbary? Laura Collett, well, she was unlucky to have a pole down in the show jumping here. She's taken a bit of the pressure off Chris Burton. Can she build that again in the cross country? Gemma Tattersall also placed for a podium finish this weekend, as is Tim Price. Bill Levitt went clear in the show jumping. My word, the names are stacking up. And Astier Nicolas, who we can see on that series leaderboard, is going to be the first guest that we've got in the studio in a few moments' time for the first half of the cross country. But it is very much going to be an influential point in the series this weekend. The question on everybody's lips, Dan, we've been saying it all weekend, can Chris Burton hold on?
To the series, yes, I think he can. I think things are beginning to fall into place for Chris. 2 legs left. If Jardy plays out this week, as the trends would expect, with the change in course direction, it seems to go. People make the time, people don't make the time. We'll talk about that as we get an opportunity, but if it plays out the way that we expect it to play, this weekend's going to be tough. Blair's going to be tough from a time perspective. When the time gets tough, Chris Burton comes out on top.
Now, Laura Collett actually took a little bit of the pressure off, didn't she? She had a pole down in the show jumping. It's taken her out of the top 10. She was ahead of him in the dressage. Yeah. Can she regain that momentum on the cross country here?
I think probably what she'd be relying on. I mean, again, she's still focused on finishing ahead of Chris. She's probably hoping, insofar as any rider hopes, wishes bad on any other rider, is that I think she's probably hoping that there's maybe there could be a little bit ring rusty, you know, in terms of Chris and Cooley Lands together. You know, they kind of get back together infrequently. I guess that would probably be her main hope, that maybe a jumping fault could come into play. It's pretty rare that you'll get a jumping fault from Chris Burton, but of course it's a possibility. Twisty track. And
in terms of the other contenders, you know, you've got Bill Levitt, Tim Price, Gemma Tattersall all coming forward in the top 10 in the reverse order. They're all well placed to pick up a podium finish and actually build their series points to go into a top 3 position.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that you can, as you say, you can pick out a number of those. I think Wesco and Tim Price are probably the ones that I'd be picking out most closely there. Wesco comes back to the form and the level of ability that we know he has. Big push could come from Tim from here.
Well, we're looking forward to it. One man who could climb towards the podium this afternoon is Maxime Livio. He's one of the home favourites. France would dearly love a French rider on the podium this afternoon of all afternoons. Can he make a climb? Let's find out a little bit more about him and his top ride, Kellau de Mer.
I'm Maxime Livio. My yard is based near Saumur. I'm doing eventing since I'm 10 years old, I would say. And since few seasons now, I'm number 1 in France. And I used to be number 3 in the world. I was born in Dijon, east of France, and there we used to have an important French event. And I was going there, but just to watch. And I said, wow, it's incredible to watch, so maybe it's incredible to do it. So I tried to look which riding school where you can practice. And I was very lucky because I managed to find good trainers, also good horses. And then I started to work and ask and try to understand everything. And all what I discovered bring me to what I'm doing right now. I think it's really important to build the partnership with the horses, and as young as possible, it's better for that. I knew Kellau since he was 6, but he was ridden by a friend of mine. Everybody was a little bit looking at that horse, but nobody wants to try to buy him because we felt that he was quite hard to manage. So One day I said, okay, I have to sit on one time and I will feel if something is possible. When I tried that horse in my friend's stables, he was so peace and love, and everything was normal and easy for him, and I had a really great feeling. But when he was on competition, he started to worry about the environment. In the first season it was quite so-so. I was easily inside the time with an incredible feeling, or I was falling down all the time. Since he started to feel that the competition was a happy time, then it was the beginning where I can start to use his quality. At 10 years old, he won the CCI 3-star in Saumur. Then after, he was second in Le Moulin. He won the 4-star of Pau. He was second in the 2-star of Lexington. So it's an incredible horse. For me, what is incredible in eventing is that we really need to have a huge relationship with our horses. If we want the best of our horses, we have to ask for it, but we have to thank also for it. So I'm quite excited to ride this weekend with Calao, and I hope everything will be as good as we can do.
Well, we're delighted to have been joined in the studio by Astier Nicolas, a former Event Rider Masters leg winner. Astier, happy to have you with us. Looking forward to getting your thoughts on the cross country.
Yeah, thank you for welcoming me. It's been it's the first time I come to speak about those, so
it's always a good place to be. And Pierre Michelet, the course designer here, obviously happy memories. He designed the Olympics where you got an individual silver team gold. What's the kind of signature of his track?
The signature would be twisty and a bit quirky. The course gives a lot to think to the rider to find the key. So we'll see how tough it is, but it's always going to be about managing the turns in speed.
Twisty, turny, and that seems to be a bit of a theme, doesn't it? Because we've been talking a lot about the time in recent Event Rider Masters legs, and I think that theme is going to continue this afternoon.
Yeah, I think it's a fascinating trend. I think the one big one for us that we're looking at is every second year, Astier, we tend to see nobody make the time here. Now, Chris Burton, and there's a couple of people here who are coming with fast horses, but when you begin to look at it, you see every second year here you've got 20%, over 20%. It looks to be the change in direction of the course really does create that difficulty around the time. We're on a 0 year this year.
Yes, but also the ground in Jardy is not like an oval or round shape, so it's a bit, if you go overall the thing, it's just not a nice shape. So you have to go in the corners. That's where the twists come and where it makes it so difficult to go inside the time. And also, I think last year was the first year of Event Rider Masters, so that brings some better horses, better riders, and also more prize money, so more pressure on the riders and combinations to go inside the time. So probably that's why also we see an increase in terms of inside the time.
Well, we're going to be watching this space very closely this afternoon because the time is going to be really important as to whether Chris Burton can climb towards that podium for his third podium finish in a row. But first, yesterday was all about the dressage. Let's just take a look at how all of the action started.
Day one at the Jardy Eventing Show, and with the Masters top 5 in attendance, sparks were expected to fly at leg 5 in the race for vital series points.
I've got Wesco. He's been on ice for a couple of years. Hasn't been out, so very excited to have him here. This is a great place to get him back up to this kind of level, and hoping for a good weekend.
It was a really good weekend last weekend, and I'm really looking forward to riding Chica Bella here at Jardy. I'm sure it'll be a good test.
After a 2-year break, it was an emotional return for Wesco and Tim Price. The worldwide favourites sit in 4th overnight on a strong 25.2, just 0.1 of a penalty behind Equi-Rating's one to watch, Izzy Taylor. Along with B-Touchable, Taylor danced her way to 3rd place, producing a super test and a score of 25.1. Leading France's Bastille Day charge, Karim Florent Lahoig and Entebbe de Us put in a stellar performance to lay their leg 1 Chatsworth demons to rest.
Karim Lahoig and Entebbe de Us, the crowds applaud. He is such a firm fan favourite.
The combination scored 23.9 to go into 2nd place ahead of the Showjumping. But it was British rider Alex Bragg and Zagreb who smashed their CIC 3-star dressage personal best.
And he looks absolutely delighted with it. We're going to have a new leader because Alex Bragg Zagreb put in a really polished performance.
After an immaculate test, the pair had earned 23.6 from the judges and the overnight lead here at leg 5 of the Event Rider Masters.
You've seen the scores just racking up in front of you and you thought, you have to go in there, attack it. If something goes wrong, then so be it, but you've got to give yourself a chance of being in the lead, and yeah, for once we've done it, so I'm over the moon.
Join us for all the show jumping and cross-country action live on Facebook and Event Rider Masters TV.
Well, of course, this morning it was all about the show jumping after yesterday's dressage phase, and there was real movement on the leaderboard once again. We're just going to take a few moments to look back on a few of those key points, because Alexander Bragg came out last horse in the arena, which there's always that little bit of added pressure as the overnight leader after dressage, but he duly delivered, despite a couple of hairy moments, a clear round to hold on.
A clear round to hold on. It's put them in a great position now. I think the key ones, a career best dressage, if we go back to those last two phases, to be able to deliver so well in the first phase, to be able to back it up here is so important.
And in terms of others that really did capitalise in the show jumping, Izzy Taylor be touchable? She's one of the firm favourites this weekend, and she put in a really polished performance, moved up actually into second on the podium.
Closing all the time. Last 6 rounds, all at CIC 3-star level. She's won 4 of them and she has come second twice. She's in those pole positions now. She's either going to finish in one of the two if she can stay on her score from here.
And a big afternoon for French sport as well. Obviously, France in the World Cup final. You'll be done and dusted in time to go and watch that a little bit later, Astier. But Karim Leguag on the podium here last year with Entebbe de Us. And unfortunately, 2 poles went, which cost him a chance and dropped him out of the top 10.
Yeah, Karim is going through a tough time with the horse at the moment. They gelded the horse this winter to see if it would go a bit more from himself, be a bit more keen, but it seems that he needs to ride him strongly to get him jumping, and as he was in Chassworth and in Brahman, he struggled to jump, so
well,
see how he can fare this afternoon.
We'll watch this space. Maxime Livio's still in with a chance of climbing into the top 3, though. He's in 7th at the moment as the highest placed French rider. So let's take a look at how that leaderboard looks at the moment. Just 16 seconds on the cross country, covering the top 10 on the leaderboard. Alex Bragg, 3 seconds. He can be over the time as things stand at the moment and go ahead of Izzy Taylor. Tim Price, he's looking for big series points in his first podium finish of 2018. Chris Burton, as we've said, with Cooley Lands, one to keep a close eye on for the series. Matthew Van Lanigan, Trouble Effect, they were top 10 here last year. And Laura Collett, London 52, an unfortunate pole down for them in the show jumping, cost them a top 10 position at the moment. A little bit further down the leaderboard, just the single time fault in the show jumping for Arnaud Boiteau, Quariano, Utrillo Duhalage and Jean-Luc Bigot actually climbed 10 places with that clear round, one of 11 clear rounds, and disappointment for Karen Dunkers and Jalapeno dropping out into 29th position. And a little bit further down the leaderboard, Katja Weimann, BP Cosmopolitan. Katja, we'll see her out on the cross country fairly early on. She currently sits in 34th position. That is how the leaderboard looks at the moment. But of course, there is a lot in store for our riders this afternoon. Pierre Michelet, the course designer here, his 2nd year designing the Event Rider Masters track here at Jardy. And let's just take a look at what's in store out there on the cross country.
Pierre Michelet, the Olympic course designer, sets the track for the French leg of the 2018 Event Rider Masters here at Jardy. And early on the 6 minutes and 8 seconds optimum time, they have a big question at the Event Rider Masters Water Splash 7, A, B and C. Past the model of the Eiffel Tower on Bastille weekend, they have a big drop into the water and then 2 skinny fences. The Fisher Solutions Stick Pilot Fence 8 comes in around the 2-minute marker, and it's definitely not a fence that can be taken lightly. The next water complex is the SAP Water. They jump in over a fishing boat, which forms a corner question for them on the related distance to the clownfish. The St James's Place Wealth Management Turning Corner is a question very similar to one that was very influential at Arville. Jumping in over the big table, then they have a tight, right-handed related distance to a corner. The SAP Speedy Snail Splash comes close to home. They jump in through the snail shell and then push on across the water to the skinny at B. We saw last year at Jardy that two things can happen here. It can be difficult to catch the time, and you can have your heart broken close to home. And many of those heartbreaks happened here at the Event Rider Masters main arena mound. Jumping in over the first part, you then have a very steep downward slope and tight turn onto the last. 33 efforts in all that will sort out the best from the very best at the Event Rider Masters at Jardy.
Well, the reverse order show jumping will mean that Alex Bragg will be last out on course, but the equi-ratings ones to watch for us.
I think early on, Jalapeno and Karen Donkers are the perfect pathfinder, really. That's 6 rounds at CIC 3-star level. They've been clearing every single one of them. Cooley Showtime, again, Janelle, it's what a pair to be starting us off, really. I think we'll get a fairly good idea of the course between those two. JCO winner, we saw him knocking a pole, but I think it'll still be interesting to watch cross country. And then as you get slightly later in the afternoon, Mark Todd and Pavel Spizak, Banderas and McLaren both coming back to back. I think that's when things really begin to hot up in that regard. And finally, we're beginning to see some very big ones here. I think London 52, everybody wants to see that progression continue. Michael Young then on Corazon. Finally, you'll have a time test here. You're going to have Cooley Lands. Cooley Lands could go, if it's as tight as time as it could be, Cooley Lands could begin to give us a really big test there. And that leaves it all to do then for anyone who's ahead of him. I would think Westco, Be Touchable and Zagreb, knowing exactly what they have to do, having Chris run before they go, could be a really crucial part of how the tactics around this plays out.
Now, you know, one of my favourite things to do is to put you on the spot. Yeah. Can Alex Bragg top the podium? He was on the podium at Gatcombe last year in 3rd with this horse. Can he stay in the top spot? Can he lead from start to finish? Is he quick enough?
He can win. Yes, he can win.
He can win. Yeah. And in terms of the podium, Wesco returning, Astier, it is brilliant to see this horse back, isn't he? He would have been a firm contender for Rio, but he is back and he is looking back to his best.
Yeah, it's been a great horse for Tim for a long time, and it was a shame, as you say, to not see him in Rio, but and also for his his previous owner. Tim was very emotional to ride him back, you know, and the big story starts again. It's great.
It is good to have them back, definitely. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how fast he can go. Gemma Tattersall, Chicabella P have finished in 4th on the mare's last 3 Event Rider Masters appearances. 2 time penalties in the show jumping here last year actually cost her the top spot on the podium. Can she get onto a podium finally with this mare?
Oh, I think she can. I mean, 2 time penalties last year, as you say, but also 2 time penalties at Blenheim, 3.6 at Arville. 3.6 at Arville. It was a challenging cross-country time at 2018 in Arville. We don't see her that often. She has to work very hard in terms of how she manages Bella's fitness. I think we've talked about that all the way along. But I mean, when she's this close, for a horse that has this much heart and determination, and then it goes without saying that the rider has the same, I think they're a fascinating pair. Should they hit the podium, they're 1 off the podium again still. Can they get past any of the top 3? Be a big ask, but yes. But only because of how good the top 3 are right now.
I think that's the thing. You know, you look through the top 10. We've got Oliver Townend, Kilnabrad and Evo. He's won 2 Event Rider Masters leg on that horse on the podium in Wiesbaden. Gwendolyn Fur, dual winner here at Jardy. Shane Rose, Maxime Livio. The names just keep on coming.
Yeah, I mean, there's no. I mean, that's why when you say can Alex win, of course he can. But it remains a big challenge, because look at who's sitting right behind him, Be Touchable. You've got absolutely no room to make a mistake. With a horse like Be Touchable behind, you take one long route, you change your mind anywhere on the track, not even talking about a 20 penalties, but Be Touchable Wesco and Tim Price, you know, a 4-star winner sitting behind you. Chico Bella P, Gemma Tattersall behind you. Cooley Lands and Chris Burton sitting behind you. You just don't have room for mistakes. So whoever goes and wins it will be a deserved winner today, because all the talent, you've got to beat all the talent.
Well, that is our pathfinder, Karen Donkers, going out with Chris and Lisa Stones at Jalapeno. Disappointment with 3 poles down in the show jumping. 41.6 in 29th position coming forward. And it'll be interesting to see this combination across the country, because it'll give us a really good view for the first time of Pierre Michelet's track. So a couple of really nice inviting fences to get her underway. Before the first real question comes up at fence number 3 and 4. Astier, just talk us through this, because separately numbered but very much related.
Yeah, you can see 4 strides with a big box at the top of the mount. Pierre intentionally put a tough one to start with. You know, after only 30 seconds out of the start box, you're right there into the test. With whoa,
really stood off there.
With a big wide corner. And Jardy is a flat, very flat ground, perfectly flat, but they've designed mounts to make it a bit more interesting.
And it is pretty twisty, isn't it? Karen Donkers and Jalapeno about to turn back on themselves for the first of the 3 water complexes out on course, a real feature fence. And big drop down in, and then a real question of accuracy. And it's difficult to get it from this angle, because those are really quite narrow, aren't they?
Oh yeah, indeed. And very deep as well, you know. That's what makes them so tough, because they just don't look natural fences for the horses to jump. It'd be easier if it'd be more normal to jump them on the side, and you have to have very well educated horses.
Well, on to the Fisher Solutions stick pile at 8. A nice inviting fence. And an opportunity to open up on the accelerator perhaps at an earlier stage on the course. Now the optimum time is 6 minutes and 8. Karen doesn't look to have set out moving that slowly. She's certainly moving on relatively quickly, even if she's not chasing that optimum time. 41.6 her 2-phase score. This is the SAP water. And Astier, talk us through this, because
I'm discovering it with you, but again some twist, a rail to come in, plus followed by the fish, nasty fish that cause a lot of trouble at Wig. Remember at the top of the bounce at the step up, coming out of the water.
Of course, of course.
Much nicer here into the water.
Well, now this is one of those really clever uses of the ground, because up the bank, then that is quite a steep run down to these angled brushes. 2 strides in between.
2 long strides, but you could see that Karen went on top of the mount to get a straighter line and get more canter and energy towards the 2 edges, because the strides are very long. And if you happen to be on a too long distance, you could easily run out when the horse tries to ship in an extra stride. A clever decision from Karen.
Karen just checking back over her shoulder.
But time consuming, obviously.
Swings that back right-handed. That's a real show of just how twisty this course is,
this
isn't it?
That in 30 seconds she came back twice in the same place. Now she's done a U-turn. It's going to be tight. Very difficult to make the time.
Well, on to the Devaku, a double mound corner at 16 A and B. Up the mound, that right-handed corner. Then the ground really slopes away on the related distance to another corner, and beautifully done through there.
Strides, but beautifully done by Karen. You know, at this stage, obviously, the horses are more into their course. And I expect today, as you can see on the instant speed, that we will see some speeding up because of all the adjustments that is needed to clear that course.
And this is a good opportunity at this part of the track to sort of really open up on the accelerator, and we can see Karen actually really doing that, giving Jalapeno a good fast run across the country. Dropped out of contention after that very good dressage with 12 to add from the show jumping. And next up is going to be the St James's Place Wealth Management turning corner at 19 A and B. Would need 1 minute and 32 left on the clock to get home inside the time from here. So this is actually a pretty fast round so far.
Yeah, but clearly you can see that even in the last place, Karen is definitely going for the time, which is going to give us a very fun afternoon if everybody is playing the clock like this.
Well, that clock is going to play a very important time this afternoon. Karen Donkers coming to the SAP Speedy Snail Splash. Big drop down, actually only 3 seconds down on the clock. Now, Dan, that could be a real telling point, because if Karen's coming home close to the time as first out.
Yeah, dead right. If Karen is in any way close, well, not in any way close, because she has been close before. I mean, 2017, it is CCI long format. No, in the CICs, 3.2 at Le Puget late last year was probably her closest. Wiesbaden 19.2 and Arville 32.4. Jumped clear on both occasions, but as you can see, there was time penalties. So if Karen's close to the time, Jalapeno is still a 10-year-old. This mare is telling us so far that maybe the time will be achievable.
Now, the one thing I would say is this latter part of the course, this final twist here, Astier, is really time-consuming, isn't it?
Oh yeah, you go very slowly because the turn is incredibly tight. You go up the mount. The horses think they go back by the finish where they started, but you actually bring them in an extra corner, just not inviting, and everybody slows down. The riders. Maybe tiness starts to make everybody a bit slower, even in the focus in the brain.
Well, this is Janelle Price and Cooley Showtime, our latest combination away on course. As Karen Donkers, the clock has turned red and she is over the time, but she goes through the finish 10 seconds over the time, and actually that is looking... Oh, Janelle, sit tight.
Can she do it without crossing the line? Obviously, the reins have gone over the horse's head.
Now
she gets everything back.
Now this is just Janelle really showing all of her experience and how she's walked the course, because they are an A and a B element, aren't they? And if she crosses her tracks, she would be penalised 20 penalties for that.
No problems at all.
That is why she is one of the best riders in the world. The ground jury will no doubt look back at a quick replay just to clarify quickly, and they have awarded 20 penalties at the moment. So
it seemed to me that she was very close to a line, and maybe she's crossed the tracks.
And the horse, only a 9-year-old, just perhaps showing a little bit of inexperience in there. While Janelle goes clear of the Fisher Solutions stick pile. And we've got a confirmed score for Jalapeno Karen Donkers, 45.6, 10 seconds over the time, 4 time penalties. And that is the score to beat at the moment. So Janelle Price coming back to the SAP fishing boat at 10A and B.
Yes, initially it was a fishing boat because they were meant to jump the big boat at the top of the mound, but it's not in a good enough condition according to the ground jury, so they changed it for the white fence, which makes it even twistier.
Even twistier. And actually, how difficult is it for Janelle? Because Cooley Showtime didn't have a nice jump into the water at the first water. The second water comes up pretty quickly after.
Yes, but here the waters are really nice and inviting because it's only shallow, and the ground underneath is like in the show jumping ring, very, very good.
Well, coming to the ravine-angled brushes at 12 and 13. Again, separately numbered, these obstacles.
You can see that she had really to press onto the second stride to make the horse jump and be sure to be in between the flags.
Well, here comes Didier Villefert, Tessoitier.
Far up the corner. As we said earlier, this combination comes very early in the course, and you could see here that the horse was not really, into it.
Well, just as we see Didier Villefert coming to that big ditch and brush, really nice inviting fence. And he doesn't look to have set out very quickly. A real difference in the tempo to Karen Donkers, our Pathfinder with Jalapeno that we saw. And Karen only 10 seconds over the time of 6 minutes and 8 seconds.
Clearly Didier is not going for the time. And you can see his stand speed, which is not exceeding 31 kilometers per hour.
Well, Didier coming back to the Event Rider Masters water splash. Much easier drop in.
A horse with a lot of scope, because even when it's far up the fences, it covers them very easily and without hesitating at all.
Well, Janelle Price news in that Cooley Showtime had those 20 penalties very quickly removed by the ground jury at the water. So she didn't cross her tracks. It's much easier for the ground jury to award them, and then once they've reviewed the footage that is very quickly available to them, take them off again. So she'll be pleased with that. A good opportunity for this horse to really open up on the accelerator as she heads in towards the latter stages. Coming to the St James's Place Wealth Management turning corner.
And as a reminder, the average speed on the course has got to be sort of 35 kilometers per hour. So which means that the riders really have to press on in the stretches, because 570 meters per minute is sort of 35.
You can't approach the SAP Speedy Snail Splash that quickly, can you? And a lot of the other combinations, they've got to build up the time elsewhere to be able to set up for each of the combinations. Well, Janelle, you can see 40 seconds down on the clock as she comes to the latter part of her round. Well, Didier Villefert at those ravine brushes. This horse actually made that look pretty straightforward, Astier, there.
Big scopy horse that covered the two hitches very easily. But still in a very slow rhythm, so clearly Didier just wants to get his horse round clearly and nicely.
Well,
that's the sort of round you can expect in the first starters, because obviously they're out of contention for the win. So
I think Karen Donkers gave us that really fast round as first out, but the time is going to be tough. We're not going to see that many people make it. Janelle Price, Cooley Showtime. The clock has turned red, 49 seconds, 50 seconds over, and 20.4 time to add for her. As Anna Nielsen, Candy Girl, our latest starter, the fast of the Swedish riders, actually looks to be chasing that time at the early part of the course. She really did push going to the Event Rider Masters water splash, Astier.
Yeah, she was already hurrying the horse to get into the water. Maybe that also unbalanced the horse, that had to rebalance himself, and that's why she probably shipped in a stride before the big element. But she got out of there easily in the end.
Well,
speeding up over 40 kilometers per hour just before.
She is not hanging around as things stand at the moment. Anna Nielsen, just the one pole rolled in the show jumping for her with Candy Girl. Combination that went really well in the 3-star at Sopot a little bit earlier on this year. As, just getting a shot of Anna back to the SAP water. And news in that Didier Villefert has actually decided to call it a day and retire. So Didier isn't coming home. Popping his hand up. We'll take a look at just what happened out there on course for him. Now, he looks there, Astier, like he's just taken his foot off the accelerator, and
he was never really into his round, but we don't know exactly what's in Didier's mind. Maybe he's saving the horse for a close run soon, or maybe he didn't feel his horse right. But the horse never looked really into it. It's very slow. Yeah.
Well, there goes his hand up in the air. So Didier Villefert retiring out on course. That means that Anna Nielsen has our undivided attention with the Candy Girl. As away from the start, our latest starter is Elaine Penn. And undercover, just the one-time fault in the show jumping, put in a really good performance, because undercover absolutely flying. Never looked in danger of touching a pole. 17 years of age now. Ooh. Now,
Ellen just took a wider curve to the corner. We could see all the riders going in 4 strides from the box to the corner, and she went outside to secure the run out, but she jumped the wide part of the corner, which made the horse struggle over her.
Now, Anna Nielsen and Candy Girl motoring on towards home. They're about to come back into the main arena as Elaine Penn undercover ears pricked as they go to the Event Rider Masters. A water splash. And it is a pretty tight turn back to this drop down into the water. And that drop down is bigger than it looks, isn't it? It is quite enormous.
Yeah, it's like 1.80 meters, I think. And it comes again very soon after the start. I think it's quite a decent water for first water.
Well, Elaine Penn undercover 39.5 their starting score as Anna Nielsen and Candy Girl through the St James's Place corner combination at 19 A and B onto the SAP Speedy Snail Splash. We'll get a time for her here and actually dot on the optimum time that she needs to get get home. Now, this is going to be a real one to watch. 6 minutes and 8 seconds, the optimum time on course point. 4 of a penalty for every second over that optimum time. She's a minute to get home. There's still plenty of jumping. Do you think she's got enough left in the tank, Astier?
The horse looks like it's going very well for her, but in a minute I doubt she can do everything because there's a lot of jumps and turns to do again.
Well, here comes Elaine Penn undercover at the SAP water. Now that pesky fish caught a lot of people out at the World Equestrian Games, Astier. Had its first victim today.
Naughty Nemo.
Naughty Nemo, exactly. Well, Anna Nielsen and Candy Girl going.
Might make me lie.
She is flying. She's got 20 seconds to get home, and she is motoring on towards home. Anna Nielsen, Candy Girl, 37.1 is her score. The clock is okay at the moment, but she's not going to be able to clear the last and get through the finish flags. She's not made a liar out of you yet, Astier.
No. But very close. But you could see at the end the horse was getting tired, and she really had to ride positively every single fence.
Well, through the finish for Anna Nielsen and Candy Girl. As Elaine Penn, this is the mistake. That was Naughty Nemo catching her out there. What went wrong?
She was again. She played safely, like she did on the corner at the first combination. She went outside to secure the jump because it looks like the fish is on quite an angle, and by going outside, it was not clear enough for the horse where to go.
Yeah.
And also, there's a confusion possible with the other fence of the other class.
And I think. She's Elaine Penn decided to pop her hand up and call it a day after that problem. So Elaine Penn and Undercover deciding to save themselves for another occasion. Not competitive after that problem, as away goes our latest starter, Katja Weimann and BP Cosmopolitan. Katja 2 down in the show jumping to add to a dressage score of 38.4, so 46.4 in 32nd position. Coming to the Rider Masters water splash. Very neatly clear through all 3 elements there, and Katja puts her foot down, motors on. She's actually long-listed for the Australian team with her other ride, BP Escapade, ahead of the World Equestrian Games in Tran. As she comes to the Fisher Solutions Stick Pilot 8. How important are these slightly more inviting fences, you know, the less technical ones between the technical parts of the course, just to, one, catch up on a bit of time, give the horse's brain a bit of a chance to catch up as well?
Yeah, it's also important sometimes to not always be securing the direction, you know, with your two legs, 2 hands tightly over the horse. Just what we call the let-up fences, really. You know, there are big jumps. It's still an effort. It's still some proper sport for the horses to achieve that course, including this. But they need, you know, the variability between the technicality and the big jump, really, just the effort of jumping in the canter. And that was very neatly done after seeing who was caught? Just
Elaine Penn.
Elaine.
Undercover were caught out by the fish in the water there. Katja, no such problems.
It looks very neat, but I'm not sure it's going to be very fast.
Going to the ravine angled brushes at 12 and 13. Over the first, these really are at quite a severe angle, but Katja made that look very straightforward. As next away, Rubis de Prat and Pietro Sundai. 1 pole down and 2 time penalties from the show jumping at the early part of their round gives them a two-phase score of 40. So in 25th position coming forward to the cross country. And that doesn't look to have set out too quickly. Coming to the first real question at 3 and 4 on course.
Perfect.
Can't get much better than that.
Very stylish rider, Pietro.
Well, Pietro goes on to the SFAPA table as Katja Weimann, BP Cosmopolitan at the Devaku corners. A little bit of a left-handed curve just in that line to the second of the corners. Knocks the flag.
But some made it straight also. She added a stride compared to the... we saw Karen Donkers opening the course. 4 strides, straight line, very smoothly.
Do we think that when we get to the latter riders, particularly chasing the time, they're going to go on the straighter route?
Yeah, of course, I think so. I think you have to do everything to save even a second to be competitive in these classes. As we said, the field is very, very strong and every second will count.
Well, Pietro Sundai clear of the Event Rider Masters. A water splash is Katja Weimann, BP Cosmopolitan. Coming to the St James's Place Wealth Management turning corner at 19 A and B. Really deserves respect, this obstacle. An enormous wide table, then that curving right-handed line.
Typical Pierre Michelet, hein? A box to a corner. We see that all the time with him. So us French riders are very used to it. And Sam Griffiths admitted that every time he was going to run a Pierre Michelet course, he was practicing. An oxer, a corner, 3 strides, another corner, and then he said, give him a pat and they go. It's classic, it's his signature really.
Well, Pietro Sundai, Rubis de Prat at the second of the waters, the SAP water splash. And popped very neatly clear through there.
Very good control of the rider. You could see the horse shaking his head over the first element, but Pietro was really focused on the second element and made it very clear for the horse then.
Well, Katja Weimann, less than 20 seconds on the clock now as she comes to the last real question, the Event Rider Masters main arena mound, 23 A and B. They're situated just next to our commentary studio at sharp right-handed bend around the second element.
It's sort of 30 seconds over now.
Well, Katja goes on to the last couple of fences on the course. And as she goes to the last, it's been a good round from her across the country, but did have a bit of a problem out on course. We'll go and get a message on that very shortly, because actually breaking one of the safety devices on course, and that is Pietro Sundai and Rubis de Prat being stopped by the fence judge out on course. You can just see the fence judge there stopping his stopwatch, making sure that he's got a time that Pietro was held on course for. So Pietro Sundai held out on course. That's not because of an accident, just one of the safety devices has been activated. Pietro obviously hugely experienced, Astier. A short hold on course for him. Fence judge will tell him what the problem is, how long it's going to be. Shouldn't put him off his rhythm, should it?
You see Pietro is very relaxed, and as you said, everybody stopped their watching time. Now Pietro is going to have to start again. He can start at full speed and just press his clock when he goes past the fence judge, that stopped him.
So Pietro Sundai just held briefly out on course. That is because Katja Weimann, BP Cosmopolitan, activated one of those safety devices. So she'll be awarded 11 jumping penalties under the FEI rules. But you can see Pietro very quickly being given the opportunity to restart. So the fence judge actually takes a time at a certain marker before every fence for every single horse out on course. If they're then required to stop a horse, they wait until that horse passes the timing marker at full competition speed, that they've taken the time. Then that combination is flagged down. They're held out on course. And when the course is clear to be jumped again, then they're shown their timing marker, given the opportunity to repass it by once again at full competition speed, so that the time they've been held for out on course can be appropriately calculated. So Pietro, we will get his time very shortly. There'll be some mental maths going on by the fence judges. They'll be collaborated by the FEI officials here, and we'll be able to confirm that for you shortly. But he is still clear jumping and very quickly back into his rhythm.
Sometimes the hell on course can be a plus, or sometimes it can also put the horse off his rhythm. And I thought this one was very short hold and might not have helped him, because it was not. It took him out of his rhythm without giving him a proper break to recover. But we'll see how he gets out of there.
Well, we'll watch this space with Rubis de Pré, but Francois Ponce and Siam Taliandi, the 24-year-old Frenchman, out on course 37.8. His two-phase score, 23rd position after the first two phases. Unlucky to roll a pole in the show jumping. And that gave him 4 jumping penalties to add. We had Oliver Townend with us in the studio when Francois was doing his dressage yesterday, Astier, and he was really complimenting how talented and committed the young French riders are.
Nice of him. Francois spent some time with Tim Lips in the Netherlands for a year or so, and he came back to base with his dad in the southwest of France now. And he's a hard worker, and I can see him evolving from a young rider to now as a young adult, and he's developed into a proper rider.
Well, Pietro Sundai and Rubis de Pré at the St James's Place combination, very neatly clear of both elements there. That Francois Ponce comes to the Event Rider Masters water. There isn't a huge amount of turning space into that, is there, Astier?
No, there's not much, and Francois was going really fast, so his horse was thinking twice, and he tapped him on the shoulder to say go, and that went very easily then.
Well, Pietro Sundai and Rubis de Pré clear of the SAP Speedy Snail Splash, as Francois Ponce goes clear of the Fisher Solutions stick piles.
You can see a very careful horse looking at every fence, and he backs off the fences, which allows Francois to ride at proper speed to the fences, but I thought he slowed down quite a lot on this big box.
Well, Pietro Sundai and Rubis de Pré is heading towards home. Well, Pietro just coming to the end of his round. He did have that short hold out on course, so we'll get that confirmed for you very shortly with Rubis de Pré. And if that is correct with that hold on course, then he is going to be the first one to make the time. But we'll get that confirmed because, of course, the fence judges will have to make sure that the held time out on course has been appropriately calculated. So we'll get that confirmed for you very shortly. But the Super Grooms will be very quickly on hand to look after Rubis de Pré. Don't forget, you can vote for your Super Groom using the hashtag ERM Supergroom. Hi Ho Silver very kindly donating a prize to each of the winning Super Grooms. Francois Ponce and Siam Taliandi just under 3 minutes to get home as they're at this really twisty part of the course. Another one, just he looked back over his shoulder there. Do you think he just felt like he might have rattled the safety device?
Exactly, I think he was just checking on it. Siam Talleyrand looks just a bit not very comfortable, probably. I don't know if he likes the ground or something, but he's got his ears pricked backwards and doesn't look very fast neither, so he's not really into his ideal rhythm, and here he finds the 4 strides very long because he's probably a bit off the pace. Now the course gives him a chance to stretch, make up some time.
Well, away from the early part of the course, our next starter is Pauline Nor and Wilbert Bow. Tend to add from the show jumping 47.5, their two-phase score in 31st position coming forward. So the top 20 in the Event Rider Masters cross country run in reverse order of merit. Oh, just didn't quite get the same line I think she would have liked there, Astier.
Yeah, she really attacked the B element, and then she found herself a bit close to C element, but no problem. It's no big deal, well managed by Pauline.
Francois Ponce at St James's Place, a wealth management combination. Good through there.
Good and fast.
And he comes to the SAP Speedy Snail Splash. Just over a minute left on the clock for him, so 11 seconds down. And he'll need to really catch up, but it is difficult, as we've said. This really twisty bit at the last real question on course does take that time.
Also, not being so slow on the clock compared to this, the pace he shows in the gallop stretches. So, as we said earlier, the horse being careful allows Francois to ride fast at combinations. Up here, Pauline shipping in a stride with Wilbert Bow.
But the brush on top of the fish Nemo in the water there is pretty forgiving, isn't it?
Yeah, which allows the jump she really got.
Francois Ponce not wasting any time.
Yeah, a stride less than the others here.
He is, but he is definitely not going to make that optimum time of 6 minutes and 8 seconds. The clock is about to turn red, and just goes 2 to jump.
20 seconds.
We are putting in your predictions there, Astier. We like this. If you're just joining us here in the Event Rider Masters, Astier Nicolas in the studio with us alongside Dernburn from Echo Ratings, as Francois Ponce, Siam Talleyrand coming to the end of their round. And I think, Astier, you're going to be about spot on, 19 seconds. Anybody would think you're pretty good at this?
Was easy. last trench for the end. Oh.
Now there's a little bit of a, perhaps a miscommunication there between Pauline Nor and Wilbert Bow. There is an 180-degree turn back. Wilbert Bow just didn't look like he quite understood.
He wanted to keep galloping straight ahead. And this twist from Pierre Michelet didn't please him so much. So he said to the rider, but now they're back. Whoa.
Ooh, fairly slow jump at the first of the Devaku corners.
Yeah, well managed to get out of this combination safely, because coming in was not easy. Probably still the rest of this U-turn the horse didn't like and put him off.
Well, now comes the man who was crowned European champion for France back in 1993. It is Jean-Luc Bigot with Utrillo du Halage. Climbed 10 places. Oh! Well, unfortunately, not the day for Jean-Luc across the country. Great to see him up on his feet. Astier will hopefully get another look at that in a moment, because both Jean-Luc and the bridle ending up with a dunking.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, it seems like the horse has spooked at the water and left his two legs on the box at the top. Then the landing wasn't safe. We will need to rewatch that to be sure. The horse is running full of energy, waiting to be caught.
Well, they'll just try and catch Utrillo du Halage, who looked a little surprised to find himself bridleless and riderless out on course, but good to see them both on their feet and okay. We'll come back to that shortly, as Pauline Nor and Wilbert Bow, at 24 seconds down on the clock, stands off the hedge box coming out of the water. Well, let's go back to the Event Rider Masters Water Splash at 7, because this is where Jean-Loup Bigot became the first to get a dunking. And the horse just looked to have banked the log in, Astier.
Yeah, but with the back legs, actually, which made him bascule a bit more and unseated Jean-Loup. He even landed on his knees because he was totally unbalanced.
Good to see him up on his feet, and I'm
Looks
sure
like the horse has jumped and then thought, oh,
Ooh,
gosh, there's water, it's too low. I'm going to put the brakes down.
Well, good to see him on his feet as Pauline Knorr, Wilbert Bow. The clock is about to turn red for her as she heads towards home. 0.4 of a penalty for every second over that optimum time. And as she comes down to the penultimate fence, it is going to be a good clear jumping round so far. Just a few time penalties. They do clock up very quickly, and you can see them adding on to that total penalty score. The placings being dropped as well as she comes to the last, goes on to complete. So time penalties, but clear jumping for Pauline Knorr and Wilbert Bow. 59.1. So we've enjoyed some beautiful weather here at Jardy. The crowds are gathering down at the podium, enjoying all of the festivities. And we've no doubt they will be showing their appreciation throughout the day for all of the riders coming forward. Marcio George next up for Brazil with JCR winner. 32.7 their dressage, 8 to add from the show jumping, an uncharacteristic 2 poles down for this horse. 40.7 their 2-phase score. This is a horse who actually finished top 10 at the test event for the Rio Olympic Games back in 2015. Much better drop down into the Event Rider Masters Water Splash. Only a 10-year-old by Winter VDL, but one Marcio thinks a huge amount of for the future. Mark Todd actually commented back at Arville when Marcio rode this horse for the first time in the series, just how much he liked him.
Yeah, looks like a very good galloper. Out-and-out jumper as well. Marcio starts to be very experimental now, and he's having a great start to the course. Look at the horse cantering, it's beautiful.
We're looking really full of himself.
Very open, but very balanced in the same time.
Now this obstacle at fence number 9, the Event Rider Masters Golf Mound Vertical, there is a MIM clip, a safety device on it. It is slightly more upright. Riders really do need to set up and respect it, don't they? And we saw Marcio do just that.
Yes, exactly. And also the upright is pretty small. So the horse tend to not respect it as well because it's not an imposing fence. It's a very unforgiving fence. So the horses have to pay attention to what the riders tell them, and hopefully the riders are all sensible enough to
give it the respect it deserves. Well, clear of the SAP House de Rouge at 11 is Marcio George and JCR winner. So they go to these angled brushes at 12 and 13. Just 3 minutes and 15 left on the clock.
Could see here's a challenge imposed by the mound, which makes the horses slow down at the top, and then you really have to go for the too long stride. It doesn't keep you in a rhythm.
Well, Christopher Forsberg, our latest starter with Hippo Sapporo, 36.4. Chris was really disappointed with his dressage yesterday. 1 pole down and 3 time penalties in the show jumping gives him a 2-phase score of 43.4. This is a combination who are looking to impress the Swedish selectors, long listed for the World Equestrian Games in Tryon a little bit later on this year. And actually we'll have Fred Bergendorf, the head coach of Swedish eventing, in the studio with us a little bit later on.
Yeah, Christopher was telling me this morning that he had to run even if he was not in contention for a good placing, because he's first reserve for Sweden. Marcio doing 5 strides here as well. Safer and a bit longer option.
Well, Christopher Forsberg, Hippo Sapporo, coming to the Event Rider Masters Water, which has been one of the feature obstacles so far this afternoon. The crowds have been gathering down there. It's situated right next to the podium.
We'll see how the giant Swedish manages his balance over this step down into the water. brilliantly done, very smoothly. He takes back his reins, who have lengthened over the drop. And nothing can perturbate him, really.
Well, there's Tim Price watching on. He will be third last to go out on course a little bit later on with Wesco as Marcio George and JCR winner. Coming to the St James's Place box and corner. Now, actually, Katja Weimann picked up 50 penalties for missing the flag at this corner a little bit earlier on, but Marcio absolutely through there. He took the flag, but he was very clearly inside it.
And he made sure he was in control. We could see him adjusting quite strongly. He's a horse who looks to start to be keener and keener. And probably as the course goes on, the horse looks a bit stronger because he's now an out galloper.
Well, 15 seconds down on the clock at the SAP Speedy Snail Splash, but Marcio George heading towards home. Christopher Forsberg and Hippo Sapporo. 3 seconds down on the clock at the water, the second of the waters.
Chris really having to ride strongly here. The horse doesn't look keen. Oh, luckily Nemo is not big. Yeah.
Now, that was an interesting drop down into the water. He didn't look that convincing through the first of the waters, did he, Astier? And the horse just really backed off.
Yes, indeed. And I said nothing can perturbate Christopher, but the horse looked a bit intrigued by the water, and we could see it was making him a proper effect on the second water. Luckily there's no more. Oh yes, there's one more, but very easy water at the end. But he needs to really put the horse forward now.
Well, Marcio George, JCR winner, are now into time penalties, but they're clear jumping so far as they go on to the last two fences on course. This horse, just a 10-year-old, a little bit out of contention after those 2 poles down in the show jumping. But I'm sure one we'll see a huge amount of in the future with Marcio in the plate, because he really is one of the top riders for Brazil.
Probably a horse that will be more at ease on a CCI with a longer distance. You can see that he's got a lot of quality in his canter and his jump, where he looks a bit strong. So for these twisty and short courses, he's probably not the most suited horse.
Well, Christopher Forsberg and Hippo Sapporo coming to the Devaku double of corners. And much better through there. Didn't have the easiest of rides through either of the water complexes, but Christopher back on track as away goes Clelia Casarati with Verdi. 16 to add for them from the show jumping, so in 30th position coming forward to the cross country. Bringing back right-handed to the water splash. Just
really a bit unbalanced here, but still on the good line to there's that combination. It's impressive to see how these horses don't even hesitate with these brushes, delta shape brushes. Are just very well educated. It's much easier for them to run out than to jump them. So it's proper and only education that makes the horses go. Apart from obviously the good technique in the approach. But if they wanted to run out, we wouldn't stand a chance as riders to make them go. So it's brilliant to see these horses ears pricked forward.
And they know where the flags are, don't they?
Yeah.
They know, they want to go between them.
They are proper pros.
Christopher Forsberg, 14 seconds down on the clock at the SAP Speedy Snail Splash. Goes on away from there to the last real question on course as Clelia Casarati and Verdi going on to the second of the waters, the SAP rails to the Nemo fish in the water.
Horse very focused again on the second element. He nearly turned himself to go and jump, so very nice horse.
As Christopher Forsberg heading towards home now. He's at the Event Rider Masters main arena mound at 23 A and B.
Chris having to ride here. Yeah. Cool. That he flattens out. Try and save some seconds. But he's going to be in the red soon. Sort of 20 seconds for Chris now, I think.
And those 0.4 of a penalties really do clock up very quickly. Took a bit of a flyer at the second last, but Christopher and Hippo Sapporo heading down to the final fence. I Nice inviting fence to conclude their round. The clock ticks over 22 seconds. Astier said 20. We'll give you that one. Well,
U-turn.
It is a really sharp 180-degree turn back, isn't it?
Could easily slip with a horse there.
Deserves respect as Clelia Casarati and Verdi going on to the Devaku double mound corner at 16A and B. And if you are just joining us, then welcome to Jardy Leg, leg 5 of the Event Rider Masters for all of the cross-country action this afternoon.
Oh, a bit of a hairy moment there, but still clear.
Well, just took the flag at the other side of that second corner.
But still looks clearly inside.
Well, coming to the water, Robin Godel, our latest starter, Grandeur de la Lie, just 19 years of age, Robin, and very confidently clear of all elements there.
Very young rider, and I think he's in the Swiss team for WEG, which is quite incredible at this age.
He's been really impressive, stepping up to 3-star. He came through the Swiss Junior Young Rider ranks as well, and actually finished 15th at Saumur in the long format 3-star a little bit earlier on this year. Clelia Casarati and Verdi coming to the St James's Place box and corner. But in quite close to that first element.
I think a little misunderstanding between Clelia and her horse.
But she did immediately sort of make a change of plan and readjust her striding plan for the second obstacle, didn't she?
It's up, but with a horse that's looking for the flags like this, it's also easier because she can readjust, change a plan, and the horse is still keen to go and look for the plan B to go and clear that combination.
Well, Robin Godel coming to the water.
Little force stride, just one more than the others, but he clearly came very steadily and comfortably on a wider curve. Very clean round so far for Robin.
Clelia Casarati and Verdi going up the hill to the Event Rider Masters main arena mound. Just swinging right hand. Oh, she really had to try and make that turn, didn't she?
Yes, but also she saved time on the turning after the fence because she turned inside the combination. It was a bit of a short stride, but not much time wasted.
Well, Clelia Casarati, Verdi going on to the last two fences. The clock is already red. It's been clear jumping, but the time penalties are clocking up as things stand at the moment. And they go on to the last. And go on to stop the clock with some 39 seconds over. 15.6, 71.1 their total score. Robin Godel out on course with Grandeur de la Lie. Just the one pole down in the show jumping, and the solitary time penalty as well. 41.4 their two-phase score at the Devaku double mound of corners. Now that was interesting, Astier, because he really did take an extra stride between those two obstacles.
Yeah, he really meant it. He adjusted strongly his horse. That combination, it's not the first time he has a striding combination. That's not going to make him fast for sure.
Well, Arnaud Boiteau and Quariano, just the one-time penalty in the show jumping, boldly down into the water splash at 7. 21st position coming forward, 35.2 their two-phase score coming forward.
Back to Robin.
As Robin coming back towards the St James's Place combination at 19 A and B. Doesn't look to have been chasing the clock at all on his round, does he?
And you can see the clock is clearly late. But probably it's not his intention. He needs to preserve his horse now he's on the team and give him a nice round.
Good confidence building round. Very neatly clear of both elements at 19.
Quariano, a brilliant horse, but very tricky, quirky. He's in the top levels. He's been in the top level since 2013 or even 2012. He was at the European there.
He's been at the top level for a long time, Coriano, hasn't he?
Yes, but had big up and downs because the horse is not an easy horse to deal with. On the dressage, he's always been an out-and-out jumper, but his temperament is tricky.
Yeah, I think we've seen that coming through even in recent runs. I think Arnaud will be delighted to come back in here with a clear jumping round. You know, looking at recent form, he has got a couple of 20s on his record. Back to Robin for now.
Well, Robin Godel, 10 seconds on the clock. He's not going to make the time, but still a good round from this young man, just 19 years of age, making his Event Rider Masters debut. Easily done through the final combination, Astier. He's put in a really assured performance across the country. You can certainly see why, you know, he only 19 years of age to be selected for a World Championships is pretty major.
Yeah, very cool-headed, Robin. And I'm sure he doesn't look in a rush or any. I think he had probably the instruction from his selector to give him a good round.
Yeah, it's now 3 from 3 for Robin at CIC. 3-star with grandeur.
That's this regularity the selectors are looking for.
Yeah.
Not only the spark, because they need reliable horses and combinations.
This is one Coriano now who will be hoping to get back into that reliability. Very talented, as you say, Astier. But a clear jumping round for me would be this two beginning to get back on track.
And Coriano, who also claimed a 3rd place at Pau, I think. A very talented horse, but unreliable so far.
And now in the water, Cecile Eriksson and Calvin neatly through that.
On the left, but still in.
As long as you pass between the flags, well within her rights not to take the front of the skinny directly head on, as Arnaud Botto Coriano very nicely through
easy and smooth
the combination. You can really see, I mean, this is a horse that has been 3rd at Pau, 4-star, a former winner of Chatsworth, 3-star as well. Was actually 6th here at Jardy last year, so good course form. And looks on target as things stand to make that optimum time. 6 minutes and 8 seconds. Arnaud Botto. Astier, you're nodding. Can he do it?
I think he'll be very close. But does he have a reason to chase this horse that much where he is now? I think he wants to give him a run and a pipe opener, but I don't know if he will stand close to the podium even with a fast round. So
he's only actually made the time once in 9 CIC 3-stars, but he's looking good at the moment.
Yeah,
but I think tactically it's a good question. I mean, will he push? That last minute is where you really do need to begin to make that decision whether you're pushing or not.
But what we can see is gonna be, you know, very close, in or out.
He's absolutely looking full of running as well.
Maybe a personal challenge. Yeah, he's going for it.
A quick check of the watch, and he's got 15 seconds to get home. He's going to actually be very close to it. Not sure he's quite going to make it. But Arnaud Botto and Coriano coming down to the final fence. Will this be the first one to make the time? It's going to be very close. And dot on the optimum time of 6 minutes and 8 seconds. Inside the time.
Well done.
Impressively done.
The stats are broken. Hit the second year trend is over of nobody making it the second time around. We finally have someone on. I think the key one for me that we're learning from the early rounds, I think we could see it probably even maybe as early as Karen's round, that the time is achievable if you want to push. I think Coriano has shown us that now. I think there's faster horses than Coriano to come. Don't expect, I would say, any of the top 4 or 5 who are in there at the moment, including Cooley Lands as well, to not be able to make this time. I think if they push, they jump clear, they certainly have it within them now to make it.
Well, Elise Neighbour-Loosman for the Netherlands with ACSI Peter Parker. 2 down in the show jumping, dropped them out of the top 10, so 35.1 in 20th position coming forward. It cost her 10 places on the leaderboard, those 2 poles down. As she comes to the Event Rider Masters Water Splash at 7. It's a horse that was 6th at Buccalo last year. And showing every bit of their experience, as they are one of the best we've seen so far today through the Event Rider Masters Water. Cecile Eriksson and Calvin.
As you said, I think all the combinations at the top are really good enough to get this challenge under their belt in terms of technicality of the course. The time looks achievable, so now it's a question of will the leaderboard change? Maybe the pressure can help us to mix it up, but technically, on the paper, it could stay a bit like it is, because the guys at the top are very strong, the horses are fast enough to challenge that.
Yeah, I think it's a really good point. I think when you begin to look through, pretty much as you come from, we're going to see Mark Todd and McLaren coming very soon, and I think as you go from there, you can almost begin to say there's maybe 1 or 2 CP qualified might be pushed a little bit to make the time if he goes for, unless he goes for it. But everyone else, Kalau Demir, we've seen doing it all across the levels. Chris Burton, we've talked about. Bill Levitt, Chico Bella P was very close last year. Wesco.
Whoa. Harry moment for Cecile Eriksson.
Living dangerously through that.
Losing a bit of control. We could see that at the St. James combination with the corner. And here she was just with long reins, a bit out of control. But safely goes through. Or safely, shouldn't I say safely? Oh, 1-4.
Oh, just got in a little bit close and unfortunately parted company. So we'll get some news on Cecile Eriksson, the horse up on his feet after that.
Cecile is moving as well.
But just got close.
Back to Alice Neighbour-Lozman is out on course. As
first combination for Alice. Went on the outside, but still goes for the 4th stride. It's not Alice, it's Marie-Charlotte Fuss.
It is indeed.
The young French girl. I think she's making her debut in the Event Rider Masters, isn't she?
Now, this is a combination, Astier, that I really liked the look of before this weekend, because she's a double gold medalist from the European Championships back in 2016. She came through the French junior young rider ranks, and that's going to stand her in really good stead, isn't it?
Yeah, now it's time to see how she fares with the big names. She looks, she's always been very...
That is good to see. Yeah. That is Cecile Eriksson after that parting of company in a buggy, going back to join her horse. So great to see that. Unfortunately eliminated under the FEI rules for the fall of horse or rider cross country.
The horse too keen.
Now,
very fresh horse, wanting to go, but not listening enough to his rider.
He's a 15-year-old. But still not a huge amount of experience at CIC 3-star level.
Yeah.
Seeing it now.
You can see that Marie-Charlotte, wanting to control, is going a bit leaning backward, which makes her pull on the reins. Then the horse gives it a big and long jump, and then she finds herself out of control and lands a bit heavily on the back.
Well, Alice Neighbour-Lozman and ACSI Peter Parker, 12 seconds down on the clock as she's coming towards home. She's not going to be able to catch that up in the last couple of fences, but it is still a good round from this combination as she comes to the double of logs. That's a 21A and B. And on that score of 35.1. The score to beat as things stand at the moment is Anna Boiteau Coriano. They're on a score of 35.2.
You can see it's quite a competitive field because 35.2 and Coriano and Arno are still far off the leader. Everybody's on a low score.
Oh. So we know that optimum time is achievable now. It's not going to be achieved by Alice Neighbour-Lozman. ACSI Peter Parker, the clock's going to turn red in just a moment, but it's been a very good round from this combination, and I'm sure they've got big plans this year as they come to the last two. And just on to the final fence, the 25th and final fence, the Event Rider Masters Welcome Home. And this green-fronted roll cleared very easily. Elise goes through the finish, and some time penalties to add, 8.0 in total, 43.1 her total score. Well, there is Marie-Charlotte Fuss carrying those 20 penalties from the problem in the water. Have put those behind her now. And another just to look back over her shoulder and make sure.
The two young French did that. Being worried about awarded 11 penalties. Looked like a nice jump, but if she did that, she must have touched a rail. And we know that this mechanism can be fragile and sometimes fall for not a good reason, just because they have been knocked all the time by many horses.
Well, Pavel Spizak-Banderas coming to the Event Rider Masters Water. We've certainly seen plenty of problems here this weekend so far. And very easily clear through there for Pavel. 15th at Kentucky this spring, this horse was on course for a top 10 finish at the European Championships, actually, this combination. At a home championships in Poland in Stragom last year. Weren't able to show jump on the final day, but very much part of Poland's plans for the World Equestrian Games this year. Clear of the Fisher Solutions tables and really pushing down on the accelerator. 34.8, their two-phase score coming forward. As Marie-Charlotte Fuss and Silas Delany coming to the St James's Place Wealth Management box and corner at 19A and B. Banderas.
Very much in control, neatly done.
Pavel Spizak-Banderas onto the ravine brushes. These angled brushes have actually jumped pretty well today. They deserve respect, and you just got to really get your line right coming down the bank on the longish two strides. But Pavel makes it look very straightforward. Now this a horse, if he's pushing for the optimum time, could this be number 2 making it?
Well, made it last year is the big one. Clear inside the time last year. We're going to see people like, Chico Bella, a couple more still to come who were just over it last year. So Banderas does have speed. For me, the big thing that Pavel brings is very experienced, very solid cross-country jumping form. There's plenty of times, that he's got kind of in that 2-3 time penalty zone. He was the same at Arville. He was actually the same at Kentucky when he finished 15th earlier this season. But a very reliable jumper, which is the big strength that Pavel will bring.
Well, Marie-Charlotte Fuss carrying those 20 penalties, the time penalties clocking up as well with Silas Delany, as Pavel Spizak-Banderas very quickly away from the Devaku mound. 34.8, their two-phase score coming forwards. That Marie-Charlotte Fuss clears the penultimate, and you can see she's just taking her time coming down towards the finish. A little bit of a schooling round after that early disagreement, Astier.
Yes, indeed, she was stepping up to, not stepping up to 3-star, but doing a Event Rider Master debut, and as she had a disappointment early on course, she made sure she was giving the horse and herself a good experience giving round. And doesn't go silly on the last fences, avoid an accident as we've seen earlier. Mark now with a little McLaren.
Oh, this is one of the favourites in the field. So Mark Todd, 2 time penalties in the show jumping to add their dressage score, as Pavel Spizak-Banderas at the St James's Place combination at 19. Now this combination looking pretty good on the clock so far. We'll get a clock check for them as they come to the SAP Speedy Snail Splash.
They can make it.
And 2 seconds down on the clock. So to like from them, they are going to push on towards home. And Pavel Spizak be horse number 2 to make the time. McLaren finished second at Samur in the big 3-star this spring. And really has come a long way in the last couple of years. That went well at Buccolo last year as well. Only stepped up from novice level nationally to international 3-star level last summer. So has had a pretty meteoric rise to the top, but a horse that really reminds Sir Mark of his double Olympic champion Charisma, and you can see why he adores this horse so much.
What a jumper. Really well jumper. And very maneuverable, as he's tiny, which will probably make him fast in this course.
Well, we'll come back to Mark shortly because Pavel Spizak is chasing the time. Banderas still looking full of running. I'm not sure he's quite going to get home. Astier's the expert.
Oh, yeah. Oh, la, la, la. No, not going to make it.
He really did change his mind there, didn't he?
Yes,
He went to go for a stride and actually just took a pull.
It's not a fence that's inviting for speed. You have to respect that penultimate fence. And he remembered that. Just a bit late, but
remembered it in time.
Yeah.
1.2 time for Pavel Spizak Banderas as the McLaren and Mark Todd.
20 seconds coming out of the last turn is a bit tight to get in. Even if he had a good jump, I think he would have been a second over or something.
I think you're right. Although, I mean, what was he? 1.2 time, 3 seconds, yeah.
Yeah.
And that was with that, complete loss of rhythm at the last. That's something that we're going to have to watch as we go into, the last. I think 2 or 3 key areas, and take a look when we're on Sir Mark's round. But there's 2 or 3 key areas in the course that you can begin to see that could cause a little bit of trouble, or certainly are going to ask questions of those top riders. I think the drop down into water is one that we see each time. And I think that second last fence, when people are going at more, are going faster, I think that's reminding them to take a check.
Well inside the top 20, running in reverse order of merit now. Malin Josefsson and Allen from Sweden, the third of our Swedish riders, 33.5 her starting score. As she comes to the Event Rider Masters Water, another combination on the long list for Sweden. They're naming their team after Aachen next week, so she wants to leave a good impression on Fred Bergendorf and the selection squad. And certainly didn't do herself any harm through there, Astier.
No, very, very fast again, in control. Just a bit drifting to the left, but nothing major. Very well set into her round.
Well, Mark Todd McLaren coming to the St James's Place combination. Quickly over the first element, really committed to the second element.
Takes a fly on the first one, but with a tiny horse, it's very easy then to come back in control on the 2 reins.
Actually going to be a couple of seconds down on the clock as he comes here. We'll see how far down. 5 in total. But McLaren still looking full of running, as Malin Josefsson and Allen coming to the second of the waters, the SAP water at 10.
Stride here, but clear.
Mark Todd and McLaren coming to the last real question, the Event Rider Masters mound. McLaren still looking full of running. Looks in tip-top condition. Mark, who was on the podium with Leonidas at Barbary last year, finished up in 3rd on the series podium as well.
Whoa. Mark really having to sit back after his big jump on the A element. Going into the steep slope. He's not going to make the time either.
He doesn't look like he's really chasing it down this final couple of fences either.
They sort of 10 seconds. Mark showing all his experience and not scaring us in jumping this penultimate fence, being very sensible.
Well, the clock has turned red, so those time penalties are clocking up at the moment, but Mark Todd McLaren are going to stop the clock some 12 seconds over, 39.1 their score, and they'll go into 4th as things stand at the moment. Now though, Malin Josefsson, Allen at the Devacombe bound, the 2 corners there. Haven't seen this catch anybody out today. She had to be pretty athletic at the second.
Yeah, again the horse ships in a stride. The horse, you see, the ears are pricked backward. Doesn't look very fast into the good rhythm to make a solid performance across country here.
Not always the easiest, can be a little bit tricky at times.
But reliable. So, CIC 3-star Allen is 7 from 8, jumping clear.
I think the retirement was at Wiesbaden a little bit earlier on this year in the Event Rider Masters series.
Don't let that recency come in. They're very reliable. I mean, the other one that you are right on doing, Nicole, is to pick up 20 penalties at the Europeans, which is also sits in there.
Well, Regis Prudhomme, Kaiser.
Whoa.
Oh, just didn't quite get his line right. He was not hanging around Astier as he
No,
dropped down
I
into
think
the
he
water.
wanted to go for a very ambitious striding, taking a stride out, but the horse couldn't or wasn't sure about taking off that early and shipped in the stride and ran out because then it was too close.
Marlin Josefsson at the
I was talking more about speed than about going clear, but indeed the horse looks always keen on jumping the second element.
Well, here is this problem for Regis Prudhomme. Talk us through it, Astier, because he looks there like he's committed.
He wanted to take the long one, but you see the horse just couldn't. He was, I think, thinking clock too early on course or in a combination, whereas he should be focusing on the technique of the combination. And he wanted to save a second by taking a stride out here, and that was not possible.
Well, Marlin Josefsson is chasing the clock with Allen. She's some 44 seconds to get home, and actually that's looking pretty good for her. She could be finishing on her score of 33.5, in which case that...
Some horses make you lie, Doesn't look like it, but check that. She's going to be inside the time.
Well, she's just got the 2 to go. She has got to jump the final 2, and they, as we've seen, do deserve respect. But gets a good shot at the penultimate. And it's going to be comfortably inside the time, actually. Marlin Josefsson and Allen are going to be combination number 2 to make that optimum time. But they're going to finish on their dressage score of 33.5, and that is the score to beat. Well, here is Regis Prudhomme at the second of the waters, very quickly through there with Kaiser. See, carrying those 20 penalties we saw a few moments ago from the first of the waters.
I'm very surprised she made that so easily because she was adding stride in the combinations, but obviously she had plenty of counter in the stretches to make that time.
I think they've both done, I mean, just looking at the Swedes generally, I've actually been really impressed. They've been coming on and on and on, and I think that's just backed it up. We saw a very good performance slightly earlier on as well.
Well, this combination is one we're watching very closely for the series because Laura Collett, London 52, 32.3 their starting score. They were on the podium in Arville a few weeks ago, finished second on that occasion behind Chris Burton and Polly Starr. Laura second in the series on 70 points. Chris Burton has 75 points. But actually Laura really does need to put the pressure on and pick up good series points this weekend. So lots to look forward to with this combination. Unlucky to roll a pole in the show jumping, the horse's first pole down internationally. Now, that is a first major question out of the way for this horse because, as I say, inexperienced at this level and didn't understand a similar question in the water at Chatsworth a little bit earlier on this year.
Yeah, but we could see that Laura was talking about London as a grey horse, but a bit green in Arville, and it put in a very solid performance with a great podium. And looks like they've stepped up, for the horse has stepped up in confidence and in experience, and now achieves all the challenges of this level like a good old horse.
Well, a big future ahead of London 52. Regis Prudhomme, Kaiser, carrying those 20 penalties, coming to the St James's Place table and corner at 19A and B. See him through here, that big box swinging right-handed, clear of the second element. Made that look very straightforward, actually.
Yeah, it was a misunderstanding. I don't think the horse is dishonest or anything. So he'll be jumping well the rest of it. It's a shame he had a bad start. Whoa. Does the same again in the water. Should have been probably a bit more careful because he had finished in the water to start with. And the horse remembered it.
Living a little dangerously, Regis Prudhomme, but Laura Collett, London 52, at the second of the waters. Had a good jump at the Nemo fish.
It's a big horse, but you could see him being fast in Arville, which was also a course where the time was very difficult to achieve. So even if he's big, I expect him to be able to put
well, Regis
a good
Prudhomme
time.
Going on to pick up time penalties. Astier, we're going to let you go. You've got to go and walk a show jumping track. But
Yep.
Thank you very much. We've loved having you with us. A quick word, who do you think is going to win?
Hard to say.
Hard to say? Go on, give us a name.
Hard to say. I think I'd put some money on Alex, really.
Alex Bragg.
I think he's holding the pressure really well in jumping. Yeah, and it'd be good for him.
We're going to go for Alex Bragg, so we'll watch this space. Astier, thank you, good luck, and we'll see you back out in the Event Rider Masters Series soon. Well, Laura Collett through the Devaku combination and made that look very straightforward. As just heading out is Karim Le Guag and Tebi de Oos. So unlucky to have those two poles down in the show jumping. Took them out of contention as they come to the Event Rider Masters water, 7A, B and C. Karim just drops down into the water. There's the podium just situated near the Event Rider Masters water splash. And there is Malin Josefsson. She is the one they've got to beat at the moment. Alan sitting on top of the podium. And we're about to be joined by a very happy Swedish eventing coach because Fred Bergendorf is heading into the commentary box with us. But Laura Collett, well, London 52 is absolutely flying. Beautifully clear of the St James's Place combination, and she comes to the SAP Speedy Snail Splash. Let's have a look at her time here. 1 second down, so this is going to be one to watch for the time. She's going to have to push on from here. But in the studio now with us, delighted to have Fred Bergendorf with us. Fred, just seen Malin head to the top of the podium. Must be pretty pleased with that. Clear inside the time.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for being able to be here and commentate with you. She did a fantastic job and actually done a fantastic job all weekend. Her dressage could have been a little bit better, but I think I could have also helped her a bit better in those last moments of the dressage warm-up, so I take that on myself a bit as well.
Well, we'll see how long she can stay there because Laura Collett is coming for her now on a score of 32.3. And Laura just having to work pretty hard. She's going to be very tight on the time as she comes up to these last couple of fences. She's on 32.3. Malin Josefsson on 32.5. And so she can only be 2 seconds over the time to go ahead of Malin. She's kicking on towards the final fence. Laura Collett isn't quite going to be able to head to the top spot, but she should be able to pick up good series points this weekend. The question will be, will there be enough? She's going to come home 5 seconds over the time and 34.2. Good enough to put her into second. And Tebi de Oos, Karim Le Guag. It is a pretty twisty part of the course, this, isn't it, Fred? Because it is a 180-degree turn back. Wastes valuable time.
Yeah, it's really twisty, like we saw Laura there. I mean, she really knew she was a little bit behind the clock at the end and moved on. And you have to be really organised when you walk the course in the beginning, and you just make sure you just really measure that course as short as you possibly can.
Oh, no, I live in London now, though.
Well, Karim Le Guag at the far side of the course as our latest starter is none other than the winner here 12 months ago. Michael Young with Corazon. He won here with Star Connection, was 7 seconds over the time in the cross country, used all 7 of those that he could be and finished ahead of the man who actually is also out on course at the same time of him. Karim Le Guag was in second on that occasion. I mean, we're looking at the double Olympic champion. He is a master of producing young horses, Fred. And this is another one that we're going to be watching out for in the future.
He's so good at riding the horses in balance. It's just a pleasure to watch. I never get tired of it.
Karim Le Guag and then Tebi de Oos having to work pretty hard coming to the St James's Place combination, but clear through there. And 31.9 in 13th position coming forward to the cross country. The clubhouse leader is Malin Josefsson, and 1 second down on the clock is Karim Le Guag at the SAP Speedy Snail Splash.
It's just so easy to lose time in the beginning of the course, both with twists back and forwards, but also making sure you're straight with the lines.
Michael Young at the second of the three waters. And very neatly cleared through that. That was actually a slightly later change, wasn't it, to the course?
Yeah, a lot of the riders thought we were going to jump a boat, which you saw up on the mound just on the left-hand side there, but which they thought made that water a little bit too tricky, so they very kindly listened to the riders and changed it.
Well, the ground jury in talks with the riders throughout the competition in the build-up. The technical delegate as well also has a big influence. But Karim Leguag is coming on towards home. He was on the podium here 12 months ago. He's only got 10 seconds to get home. He's not going to quite do it. And he could actually be 3 seconds over the time to go ahead of Marlin Josefsson. But Marlin is going to hold on to that top spot on the podium for that little bit longer. And Karim Leguag is going to finish on a score of 35.1. So he goes third at the moment. As turning back on themselves out on course, Michael Young, Corazon. And the Devaku mound that comes up next, Fred, you know, there aren't many hills and natural undulations here, but Pierre Michelet's used some very clever sort of man-made obstacles, hasn't he?
Yeah, and I think he's done that really well, and it just reminds me a little bit of the old-fashioned cross-country jumping, where you really have to feel the balance of the horse, and it's not so easy to work out exactly what's going to happen. But I think the fence has jumped very well.
Well, away goes Matthew Van Lanegem and True Blefet, a combination who were 10th here 12 months ago. Went really well for France in Stragom at the European Championships as well, and have certainly put themselves in very strong contention for the World Equestrian Games this year.
Second over the time here last year, Nicole. On that different direction, on that different track, you know, so we're not seeing this. We are seeing the trend work out broadly so far. 2 have made the time, but it was a much higher number. We had almost 26% of the field made the time last year, so different challenge this year in terms of time, so be careful in terms of taking your read. They were 1 second over last year. They're going to have to push to be inside it this year. Most recent rounds, they've all jumped clear. They've been at Bramham, Chatsworth, Stragom, Saumur, Le Puget, all operating at 3-star level, CIC and CCI. Lots of clear jumping rounds. Time might be, I would suggest, in the five-time penalty bracket.
7 seconds down on the clock, Michael Young and Corazon, as he goes through the SAP at Speedy Snail Splash, as Matthew Van Lanegem comes to the second of those SAP waters. Looking well up on the clock at this stage, but of course a long way to go. Very neatly clear of both elements there, and just taken a bit of a longer route coming out of the water there.
Yeah, I don't know if he knew where he was going or not. We'll have to find out afterwards. But certainly jumped through that water just as well as he jumped through the first water.
Every slightly longer route can be expensive when you see how tightly bunched we are at the top of the podium and likely to remain so. Back to the 8-year-old mare Corazon. Shares a reasonably similar record to London 52, who would have seen a little bit younger, but in terms of experience, about the same levels at the moment, reasonably similar profiles. Corazon coming through now. They are going to pick up time penalties by the looks of things.
Well, Michael Young and Corazon heading towards the end of their round. They could have been 6 seconds over the time to go ahead of Marlin Josefsson and Allen, but Sweden continue their rise up towards a top 10 finish.
It's hard to sit and not be biased at the moment, but I'll do my best.
So on a score of 30.6, Matthew Van Lanegem and True Blefet through the Devaku mound, the double of corners there. Just got in quite close to the second of those. We've seen a real selection of riders either going on the straight 4 strides or actually putting a little kink in there.
Yeah, we walked it on the 4 strides, but I think more horses than I thought has gone 5. I think the important thing there is that you have your horse on the line and in balance as absolutely number 1.
Well, Kilnabrad and Evo, Oliver Townend out on course. They had the final fence down in the show jumping. Ooh, not the easiest of jumps down into the water. But clear through all three elements.
And Ollie really good in his own balance there on the way down, as the horse takes a little bit of time to work out what to do, so never really in any problem.
Well, there is Malin Josefsson sitting on top of the podium. How long can she stand there? There's Karim Legoire going into third at the moment. Laura Collett currently sits in second as Matthew van Lanegem goes clear of the St James's Place combination at 19 onto the SAP Speedy Snail Splash. And unfortunately, a parting of company for Matthew van Lanegem. And you can see his air jacket there has just blown up, which will have winded him momentarily. Troubler Fat looking a little confused as to what just happened, but good to see them both up on their feet, Fred.
Yeah, and they jumped the first two waters so well. It was difficult to see from that angle if he maybe took off a little bit early into it, but maybe we can see it on a different angle later.
Well, Oliver Townend, Kilnabrad and Evo very quickly on to the angled brushes, but let's go back and have another look at Matthew van Lanegem. Just left a leg and unfortunately catapulted Matthew out the front. Very quickly both up on their feet, and could be a cooler day for a splash, Fred. We could say that.
This was interesting for me. Kilnabrad and Evo, you know, a horse that we've seen have such success in the Event Rider Masters over the various seasons. He has a question to answer because Arveal didn't go to plan. Barbary and the show jumping didn't go to plan. He's back here. We know how competitive they are because we know how talented they are. First part of the round has been good. I wouldn't say it's been amazing. We're looking for that rhythm. I don't know if it's there. We're going to be able to see that when we come to the time. In the meantime,
well, one of the firm fan favourites, Gwendolyn Fur, was well placed after dressage in 5th. Dropped down to 9th with a pole down in the show jumping. The Poe 4-star winners from last year, 29.3 their two-phase score. Gwendolyn has had a win here at Jardy on the last couple of years in the straight 3-star class. There's Oliver Townend going away from the Devaku double of corners. Now, Oliver actually can be 8 seconds over the time to go ahead of Malin Josefsson and Alan, who sits at the moment in the top of the podium.
Oliver is so good at judging the pace. If things goes well, I would expect him to be very near or inside the time.
Well, of course, a huge amount of money at stake this weekend for the winner of the leg here in Jardy. Big series points on offer as well. And it could well be a trip to Ireland for the winning owners because Monarch Spa very kindly donating a stay at their hotel over in Ireland for the owners of each of the horses who win an Event Rider Masters leg. It's Bill Levitt, who will see out on course very shortly, involved in the selection process for the elite horses that they have at that sale. As Gwendolyn Fur neatly clear of the water splash at 7. Oliver Townend, he doesn't waste a second, does he, Fred?
No, I mean, he is so good at setting the horses up to the fence and still keep running. I think there's, yeah.
And we are all very grateful to the department for their support.
Well, Oliver Townend coming towards the end of his round as he's got just over 50 seconds on the clock to get home. How close can he go? The current leader at the moment, Malin Josefsson and Allen, 33.5. Oliver Townend has 40 seconds to get home, and I think he's not far off where he needs to be at this stage, especially because he can let the clock run 8 seconds over to still go ahead of Malin, but of course wants to put the pressure on those that's still to come. Would you say he's pretty safe to get home from here inside the time, Fred?
He's looking good. He jumped that fence last. He doesn't look in a real hurry. Maybe just taking a little extra check in the second last fence.
Well, Oliver Townend, Kilnabrad and Evo, they were second at Wiesbaden. They're going to secure themselves a top 10 finish here, just steadying up as he comes through the finish. He knows he's got time. The new score to beat is 30.0. Malin Josefsson moves down into second and Laura Collett third. But Gwendolyn Furr, well, just miscalculated coming down the hill. Romantic Love didn't quite get the right position for takeoff, Fred.
No, it's just a canter she had going down the hill, and that's just about that, why that hill is there. And she didn't quite have the canter she wanted. I just hope she's all right. It looked like a
huge moment for me. That one of the French favourites gone. Tram Prince won here in 2016. Romantic Love won the CIC 3-star here in 2017. We are tagged as a big favourite for the home nation. That is a big moment.
Well, we get to see this again, Fred. Just talk us through it.
Well, she thought she saw a long stride early. She probably should have sort of waited on the canter she had, but that's easy to say when you see her from the TV, but that's where that came from. Just a misunderstanding between horse and rider.
Well, hopefully none the worse for wear after that parting of company. Gwendolyn Furr and a Romantic Love. As away goes Shane Rose, and CP qualified to the Event Rider Masters Water Splash at 7. Shane took the title at Blair last year with Virgil. This a horse who's won Adelaide 4-star. Very experienced, and you saw that experience there, didn't you, Fred?
Yeah, they just knew what they were doing. The horse just pricked his ears and worked out where the flags were. Brilliant.
Well, Shane Rose, CP qualified, going on to the Fisher Solutions table. Clear of that very easily. This a horse that has been top 3 at Aachen on the last couple of years, has actually been based over here. Well, that is Gwendolyn Furr walking home out on course. Romantic Love in the background, none the worse for wear, will be looked after by the grooms very quickly on hand. As Shane Rose, CP qualified. Twisting their way back to the second of the waters.
Yeah, you can really see the horse is just pricking his ears towards the second fence and working out where to go.
Well, Shane Rose, 3.5 minutes to get home from there. As he goes on to the angled brushes, which we actually just saw catch out at Gwendolyn Furr a few moments ago. Watch Shane through here.
That canter going down to the first brush was a little bit more balance, which made the jump a lot easier to jump.
Well, we're well inside the top 10 here. The reverse order cross country in leg 5 of the Event Rider Masters. If you are just joining us, then welcome to Jardy, because in the studio with us, Frederick Bergendorf and Dan Byrne from Equa Ratings as well. And that man is the highest placed Frenchman, Maxime Livio, and Caloudemare, the 4-star winner, looking pretty keen at the early part of his round. Was second in Kentucky last year as well. Just clear of 3 and 4, separately numbered, but very much related to one another. Shane Rose at the Devaku combination. Easily clear through there. Shane's having to work pretty hard in terms of chasing for the clock, but we'll get a time on him shortly as he heads towards the end of his round. Maxime Livio Caloudemare. 28.8, their 2-phase score. Well, Maxime coming round the Event Rider Masters water. That is Malin Josefsson sitting at the top of the podium for a few moments longer until Oliver Townend will be coming to take his place at the top of the podium. There he is. Malin goes down into second. Into third is Laura Collett and London. That's Shane Rose, CP qualified.
So far he's jumped really.
Oliver Townend, you've gone into first place for now. A disappointing pole in the show jumping. We could have seen you further up the leaderboard.
Yeah, very disappointing, but at the same time he's been an unbelievable horse on an unbelievable run, really. He's had fantastic form. He's not been out the top 3, really, at 3-star level. for a long time, so it's good to have him back. And for me, he felt to jump a very good round, and even Milton had fences down every so often.
And just tell me, as world number one, it's not an easy track. You made it look pretty easy, though.
He's a very experienced horse now at this level. His experience has come quick. He's been busy for a few seasons, but at the same time, he's nice to ride around those courses. He doesn't give much feel. He doesn't go very high, but that also helps with the time, and his legs feel to be out the way. So very happy with him today.
Thanks, Oliver. Best of luck for the rest of the year.
Thank you. Thanks.
Well, Shane Rose, CP qualified, is kicking towards home. He doesn't have much to go by in terms of a buffer to go ahead of Oliver Townend. I don't think he's going to do it. He could be 2 seconds over the time to go to the top of the podium. But he's not going to be able to get home and clear of the last in that time. CP qualified 29.0. And he goes to the last. Clears it very well. The clock has turned red, but it's a good round. Some 8 seconds over, 32.2 for Shane Rose and CP qualified. Maxime Livio, Cloudemare. Going to the far side, of course, the Devaku corners. Shane Rose just goes into second. Marlon Josefsson down to third. Easily through there. You see this horse and rider so experienced, they know each other so well, and we're really seeing that out on course. Well, this is the man that we've been waiting for. Chris Burton and Cooley Lands. 28.6 in 6th position coming forward. This combination of having their first international cross-country run together. Horse has been campaigned by owner Kate Walls this spring. Kate will be watching on nervously at home. Couldn't make it out to France this weekend. But very neatly clear of all 3 elements at the Event Rider Masters water. Doesn't waste a second. Cloudemare, Maxime Livio. Not making life easy there for Maxime, is he, Fred?
No, I think sometimes when he's rides, it looks like his shoulders are quite far forward on landing. It's hard to say anything about the rider, which is that good, really, but sometimes that makes it look a little bit more difficult. But he certainly jumped all these jumps really well there, and it looks like he's going fast enough.
Well, he's 3 seconds ahead of the clock as he comes through the SAP Speedy Snail Splash. That's Chris Burton and Cooley Lands. The SAP water at 10A and B. Seen it catch the one combination out so far today. And nearly jumped an extra element there, Fred. So 2 combinations out on course, heading towards home. Maxime Livio, Cloudemare. Oliver Townend at the top of the podium at the moment, but Maxime Livio is coming for him very quickly. Needs to be home safely. No more than 3 seconds over the time. He'd rather go inside it. And just taking the time to set up for that second last fence, but really opens this horse up as he comes down to the last. The horse absolutely full of running and response. This is the highest placed French rider, and he's going to go to the top of the podium. Maxime Livio, Cloudemare, finishing dot on the optimum time. 28.8 is the score to beat. Well, I'm not sure quite what's happening here, but Chris Burton has just been, I think, going down the wrong side of the string out on course. Now, damn, he's going to need every bit of that fastest rider in the world status to catch up now.
Yeah, very early at the moment to say how costly that's going to be in terms of where it is. Replay on screen now.
He looks like he just didn't quite realise where he was meant to be going, but it hasn't wasted a huge amount of time. Well, Chris Burton and Cooley Lands cannot be anything over the time to stay ahead of Maxime Livio and Caloudamere. They've 2 minutes left on the clock still to get home. Cooleyland still looking full of running. And actually, the clock is still looking pretty okay at the moment, Fred.
Yeah, amazingly so. I don't know how much that extra turn would have taken.
It would almost be equivalent to a long route. You know, they definitely had to set up, stop.
There is Chris Burton through the St James's Place combination before the water. Shane Rose just making his way to the podium. Oliver stays at the top spot. Shane goes second, and in third at the moment still is Marlon Josephson and Allen. As Chris Burton and Cooleyland kicking towards home. Well, our latest starter, Bill Levitt, Shannondale Titan, on a score of 27.2. Coming forward in 5th position after the first 2 phases, put in a super clear round in the show jumping in Durham. This is a horse that really made his mark in Arville on the podium, and Bill will be looking for series points this weekend.
Absolutely, keep building on where he's gotten to. I mean, Bill's so experienced at the level, but also Shannondale Title becoming an ERM specialist back to Chris Burton.
Well, Chris Burton, the clock looks absolutely fine for him. Cooleyland is heading towards home. Chris Burton is heading towards extending his lead at the top of the series here, because he's just got the 2 to go. Just rather rattles the penultimate, but goes on to the final fence. And actually, you can even see Chris easing up on the accelerator, despite a bit of an error, of course, out there. He's comfortably inside, 28.6. He was 9 seconds inside the time at Barbary last week. He's 9 seconds inside the time here. Chris Burton, Cooleyland guarantee themselves a top 6 finish.
I mean, what can you say? It's so funny. It's actually funny at this point. Just when we think we have to kind of set new challenges for him by making him go the wrong way for a little while, he still is the fastest round of the day. What a talented rider. Looking at those stats, CIC 3-star Chris Burton, 84% completion rate, but the big one for me, Chris Burton he jumps clear 85% of the time. He's inside the time 33% of the time at CIC 3-star level, more than 80 runs. Incredible talent, and shows you again why when the time is tight, he's the one that can move to the top of the podium. He's put it up to the rest of them. Time penalty is going to become important now because he's done his job. Will anyone drop behind him? They've got to keep their place ahead of them. Still some big names to come with Bill Levitt on course at the moment, but we're going to have Chico Bella P very soon. We're going to have Tim Price in the returning Westco, B Touchable Izzy Taylor, and then Zagreb to finish. Here comes Gemma Tattersall.
Gemma just making her final preparations down at the start. Here's Bill Levitt, Shannondale Titan, 27.2 in 5th position coming forward. And he does not make the same mistake as fellow Australian Chris Burton. Gets it right coming round that corner, but still chasing the clock as he comes to the Devaku Mound. And this combination has jumped so far so well today, Fred.
Yeah, it's just jumped really well. Let's see what happens over the corners. Yeah, just nicely on the 4 strides. He's so experienced. It just looks like he has to push on a little bit.
Well, Bill is really chasing that time. And it is cross-country time that just kept this lady off the podium here 12 months ago. Gemma Tattersall with Chris and Lisa Stones. Chica Bella P, a horse who produced a faultless clear round in the show jumping this morning, comes forward on a score of 26.7 in 4th position after the first 2 phases. And Gemma sets out like she means business. Well, Gemma quickly away. As Bill Levitt coming to the St James's Place combination. It's a wide old table, that, isn't it, Fred?
Yes, but also you've been galloping for a little while, so it actually works out quite well and sets you up nicely if you want to go on the 3 strides to the corner.
Well, Bill Levitt coming to the SAP Speedy Snail. And 6 seconds down on the clock. This is a fast round, 6 seconds up on the clock, I should say. This is a fast round from Bill Levitt, and he is on target to knock Chris Burton off the top spot. Chica Bella P. And Gemma Tattersall at the Event Rider Masters water. Coming to the big drop down in, and the first of these skinny triple brushes. Easily clear through there. Gemma's elbows working hard. Chris Burton about to take his top spot on the podium. How long can he stay there? That is going to be the question, because Bill Levitt is coming for him. Bill heading towards the end of his round.
Chris Burton, you're the fastest man in the world, and we proved that once again today. I think you maybe got a little bit lost or a little bit confused, and you still made it within 9 seconds of the time.
Yeah, I did. I don't feel very proud of that ride, if I'm honest. It was a bit frantic and flustered, and I went through a sharp turn through the gate, and I went the wrong side of the string. So I was very impressed at the speed, but I've always known he's a fast horse, and thank you to Kate for the ride.
Puts you in really good shape.
Well, Bill Levitt is about to go through the finish. He's 2 seconds over and 28.0. Bill Levitt goes to the top of the Event Rider Masters podium here. Chris Burton, enjoy it while it lasts, because you're about to move down into second place. Gemma Tattersall, Chica Bella P, clear through the SAP water at 10. And Gemma quickly away from there, 26.7 her starting score. She's got 3 seconds in hand over Bill Levitt, who's currently topping the live podium.
She did that last jump so nicely. Even though she was going up and down the mound, the horse was in beautiful balance, and the hedges was just nothing to her.
Well, Gemma very quickly clear of the parallel, will make that tight turn back. Going on to the Event Rider Masters Dracana at 15 before the Devaku double of corners. And Chica Bella P really pressing down on the accelerator. She's been fourth here in the Event Rider Masters series. Chica Bella P on her last 3 appearances, Derm. I know Gemma would dearly love to get her on the podium.
Absolutely, Nicole. Such a special horse. I mean, just the consistency for, I mean, we had Gemma as a guest yesterday, and, you know, hearing how Bella has to train, she's much more delicate than lots of horses, as many of you will already know who follow this combination. So she's constantly training in water, you know, she's not able to be lunged, you know, they have a whole special regime to get this horse out, and to be able to show the consistency of 3 4th place finishes against the talent that the Event Rider Masters field brings. Very, very impressive.
Well, away from the start go Tim Price and Wesco. This combination looking for valuable series points, as is Gemma Tattersall. But Tim quickly clear of the first 2. This is a horse that hasn't been seen at top-level international competition for a couple of years now. Gemma Tattersall, Chica Bella P. The clock looking pretty good for her as she comes to the St James's Place box and corner. Easily done, and she's chasing the time. She'll go on to the SAP Speedy Snail Splash at 20. We'll get a clock check for her in just a second, because she needs to be jumping in here with around 1:17 on the clock, and she is 8 seconds up on the clock. Oh, she just... Bit of a miscommunication there, Fred.
Yeah, well, it was a little bit, but she's got a good seat, and they both knew where they were, and she's fine.
Well, Gemma really is chasing the clock. She's a minute to get home. We know that this last combination deserves respect. She's not going to take any chances at it, but she is very much on course to go ahead of the live podium leader, Bill Levitt and Shannondale Titan. They're on a score of 28.0. And Chica Bella P are kicking towards home. Gemma, 30 seconds left on the clock. She is on target to go ahead of Bill Levitt and Shannondale Titan. Can she do it? Bill Levitt just about to take his top spot. He better not get too comfortable, because Gemma Tattersall is absolutely flying towards home. She's just got to clear the last. Bill in the top spot, but I tell you what, he sits down. He's going to have to stand up again in a minute, because Gemma Tattersall goes into the lead. inside the time, no worse than 4th. Tim Price, Wesco, up at the second of the waters. How difficult is it, Fred? You know, a horse coming back to top-level competition hasn't seen a course of this intensity for a couple of years.
I think it varies a little bit. Sometimes you just need a run or two to get the cobwebs away from their eyes. But also it just depends a little bit who's on top of them. And here with Tim, one of the most experienced riders in the world, I would expect them to just be right into it.
Well, Tim Price and Wesco, 25.2 in 3rd position coming forward. They have 3 seconds to play without on course. They can be 3 seconds over the time and still go ahead of Gemma Tattersall. Gemma, who we saw finish just a few moments ago with Chicabella P. Tim yet to finish on the podium in Event Rider Masters leg this season, but he is one to watch for series points because he's currently sitting in 4th on the series leaderboard. So 25.2 is Tim Price and Wesco's starting score. Easily done through there. One of the best we've seen so far today, Fred.
Yeah, really easy. And I think one thing which is so impressive with Tim and this horse is that they can change from the canter, the transport canter they use between the jumps, to the jumping canter they want. So it takes so little time for them.
Well, here is Izzy Taylor. Be Touchable, the combination in 2nd coming forward to the cross-country phase. The combination who took the Event Rider Masters Series finale at Blenheim last year. And a combination, Derm, whose speed across the country has been a bit of a feature over recent runs.
So, Nicole, I mean, you think what Be Touchable has actually achieved. I know we're back with Wesco now. Almost don't want to take my eyes off Wesco when he's there, but 6 runs for Be Touchable. They've been inside the time, not every one of them, but they've been, when they haven't been, they've been able to take the win.
I see, so classy. Sorry if I interrupted.
You can.
It was beautiful enough to interrupt, I think there.
Right.
He really has been looking back to his very best, Wesco, hasn't he, Fred?
Yeah, and I'm so impressed by the way he managed to keep the rhythm in the canter, even into jump after jump. He's right back in his galloping pace straight away.
Well, Izzy Taylor, Be Touchable, coming to the Event Rider Masters Water Splash at 7 A and B and C. 25.1 her score in 2nd position coming forwards. That drops down into the water. A lovely shot at the second element. You really see this horse's scope. Owned by Sophie Dodds, who produced the horse originally before Izzy took on the ride. Tim Price and Wesco. 40 seconds on the clock to get home. And how good is it to see this combination back to their absolute very best. They've 2 fences left to go. The time is looking absolutely fine. Tim Price is yet to finish it on the podium in the Event Rider Masters Series in 2018. He could be about to change that. The leader at the moment, Gemma Tattersall, on a score of 26.7. Tim Price and Wesco just need to clear the last, and we're going to have a New Zealander confirmed for the podium here. He does so. He's comfortably inside the time. Tim Price and Wesco are back. 25.2 the score now for Izzy to beat. Cannot afford a single penalty on the cross country. Neatly clear of that water, and has jumped pretty well so far today.
Yeah, that water was jumped very, very easy, straightforward. I don't know if he just had one who was running out at the fish coming out of it.
They've been clear inside the time at Bramham in the CIC 3-star, clear inside the time at Mill Street, clear inside the time at Harbury, clear inside the time at Mill Street before that again. 4 wins from 6 of their last CIC 3-stars. That's their last 6 events. On the other 2 occasions they finished second. They're pushing for the win here, need to get the time.
Well, that was Gemma Tattersall just taking the top spot. She can't get comfortable, though, because Tim Price will be up there very shortly, and he'll be enjoying the top spot. But how long can he stay there? Because Izzy Taylor and Be Touchable, another to just make the same mistake that Chris Burton made and just go the wrong side of the stringing.
I'm amazed. I think it just shows the pressure's on. They're trying to do everything they can.
Is that something, you know, the reverse order cross country, we're seeing that little bit of extra added pressure. They know the time is tight, they know they're chasing it, and they're just, unfortunately, they make a mistake such as that. I mean, Izzy Taylor and Chris Burton, two of the best riders in the world.
Absolutely, but that's, I think, why the way we do this with the reverse order is just fantastic when it puts the pressure on. Maybe that the horse stumbled a little bit rather than that she didn't know where she was going.
Well, Izzy Taylor and Be Touchable didn't waste much time, and we saw Chris Burton comfortably make the time, having made a very similar mistake. So we'll come back to her shortly, but this is the leader at the moment. Alex Bragg, Zagreb, they led after dressage. They led with a faultless clear round in the show jumping, 23.6. Their starting score would be chasing that time, but Alex very neatly clear of the first real question. Now, Izzy Taylor, Be Touchable, is pushing towards home. She's at the SAP Speedy Snail Splash, and actually, she is just going to be down, up on the clock by 2 seconds. However, we know that this last part of the course is not easy to pick up time on, so she's going to have to keep her foot on the accelerator. Alex Bragg and Zagreb currently on a score of 23.6 as they come to the Event Rider Masters Splash. I think that's the tightest line that we've seen there, Fred.
Yeah, and you see all these horses at the end getting the 4 strides quite easy to the fence in the water in the beginning. The horses jumped on much more cautiously, and most of them got the 5.
Just trying to use somewhere to get a read of the Be Touchable time against Zagreb, and you can see Blenheim, last year at Blenheim, those two lined up against each other. Izzy and Be Touchable finished with 1.2 time penalties. They went on to win it. Zagreb with 3.6 penalties in the top 5 that day. Hard to get a read on a different type of track, but that gives you an idea. Be Touchable a little bit ahead.
Well, they were the hot favourites coming into this weekend. The time is looking really tight for Be Touchable, and Izzy Taylor cannot afford any penalties to stay ahead of Tim Price and Wesco. They come to the final fence and they clear it well, but the clock is going to turn red, and that's just going to cost her slightly. 25.8, 2 seconds over the time, and they're going to go second behind Tim Price and Wesco. Alex Bragg, Zagreb, going clear of the 11th. Well, this is the only combination that can challenge Tim Price, who's taking his place at the top of the podium. Gemma has to go down into second. Izzy Taylor will be coming for that position in just a moment. But Tim Price, will he take his first ever Event Rider Masters leg? Well, Alex, 23.6. And Zagreb is looking very fast so far. Alex not wasting any time on any of his turns, Fred.
No, so far he's looked very good over the jumps as well.
Now, the one thing I would say is that those 2 seconds over the time for Izzy Taylor have actually just cost her a potential 1-2 finish here, because she would have been inside the time without that slight error, of course. Now it is Alex Bragg who can knock Tim Price off the top spot. And let's go and have a word with the man on top of the podium. Alex Bragg is the only man that can take him off the top spot. Hannah, can he stay there?
Tim Price, you and Wesco are back, guaranteed a second. How does it feel?
Yeah, I was just saying to Billy, I don't think I've had another one quite like him, you know, so it's just such fun having him back. Yeah, you don't know until you know, when they come back. And right up to leaving the start box, number 1, I was still, how's this going to be? But then it just all came flooding back, and he had a great time, and so did I.
Congratulations, Tim.
Cheers.
Back with Alex Bragg. Zagreb coming to the St James's Place table and corner. He goes through there, taking its strides out compared to what we've seen others go through on, barely touching the reins. And actually, we're going to get a clock check on him as he comes to the SAP splash at the final water at 20. And he's 10 seconds up on the clock. 10 seconds up on the clock. He has 3 seconds that he can let the clock run over to still go ahead of Tim Price and Wesco. Alex Bragg is on course to take his first ever Event Rider Masters win here this weekend.
And I don't dare to say it, but he's looking very solid at the moment.
It's very nervous saying anything at this point. But what a performance it's been across 3 phases. He's very near home now, but he delivered a career personal best in the dressage. He show jumped clear, and now he's edging closer towards home. The fairy tale of Wesco returning with a win will not be something that Alex cares a lot about. He's got an opportunity now to get the big check and to get Zagreb his first Event Rider Masters title. They're coming through here with almost 10 seconds up on lots of others. Nicole.
Well, Alex Bragg just needs to clear the last 2 fences with Zagreb. He can take his time. Sally Ellicott could be about to book herself a trip to the Monarch Spa a little bit later on this year, because Alex Bragg and Zagreb are about to take their first ever Event Rider Masters leg. There were question marks over the time, but they delivered in all 3 phases. 23.6. He had time in hand. He didn't need it. That is a huge performance from this young man.
Oh, very impressive. Very impressive across every phase. I mean, I didn't think he would pull out the dressage record. I wondered if he would jump clear. He has shown the form to be able to do it. And what a performance that is cross country. I mean, that looked so comfortable all the way. She showed speed, but also such control.
Yeah, it was
very deserved.
The technicality and the security did it was. That's why I said I want to say too much, but it feels fairly safe. Yeah, very impressive.
Well, Alex Bragg, 23.6. Tim Price just taking a moment away from the top spot. He'll finish in eventual second. But 23.6 for Alex Bragg, that wasn't just a personal best at this level in the dressage that started off this weekend. That was his personal best in his entire career. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely, with Zagreb. So, I mean, to be able to do it on an occasion like this, big atmosphere in the dressage here behind us, I think a lot of horses, a lot of the younger or the less experienced CIC 3-star horses will come along a lot from the dressage test here, because you're on the sand arena, you're in the heat, and you've also got a big atmosphere. Lots of flags, lots of people very close to the arena. So I think for Zagreb to deliver in those conditions, obviously very experienced horse and very experienced rider. So for Zagreb to deliver in those conditions, a career best, massively impressive. But it's the other 2 jumping phases which really stood out for me, Nicole.
And in terms of that top of the leaderboard, I mean, Alex Bragg, Zagreb, faultless to finish on their dressage score, 23.6. Incredible to see Tim Price and Wesco back 25.2. Izzy Taylor be touchable, completing the top 3, those 2 seconds over the time cross country, actually costing her a 2nd place finish on the podium. Bill Levitt picking up good series points, as does Chris Burton. It'll be interesting to see him extend his lead here this weekend. Oliver Townend, Shane Rose, Marlon Josephson completing the top 10 at the moment. Laura Collett, London 52, they'll pick up good series points and good results for Powell Spizak and Michael Young as well. Karen Donker's Jalapeno gave us a really good indication as Pathfinder on the time across the country as first out a little bit earlier on this afternoon. And a bit of disappointment perhaps for Clelia Casarati Verdi, who didn't have the easiest of rides cross country, but a good conclusion to their Event Rider Masters debut. BP Cosmopolitan and Katja Weimann, 50 penalties for missing a flag out on course to add for them. And those are the combinations that did not come forward to complete in the cross country. So leg 5 of the 2018 Event Rider Masters series. If you are just joining us, What a roller coaster it has been this afternoon. Frederick Bergendorf and Dan Byrne in the studio with me, and we have enjoyed some seriously top-class competition. We've already spoken about Alex Bragg currently out in front, having won here, but Tim Price and Wesco picking up really valuable series points for Tim, and actually he moves up into third in the series fight, 81 points, and just goes behind Laura Collett, who unfortunately doesn't quite manage to close the gap. Chris Burton extends the gap, and he will be the series leader with 96 points heading into Blair. But of course, it is the best 5 legs to count, so we have no doubt that he will be under pressure come Blair at the end of August. And we have to say, all of those contenders, we had 5 in the mix coming forward in contention for the series this weekend. Yes, Chris Burton has slightly extended his lead, but actually all of them have really added valuable points, and they're not letting him get out of their sight.
No, he's not out of their sight. I mean, when you're counting 5, it can be difficult to know, you know, how long, how many people stay in it, particularly when you see like pretty imperious performances that Chris is able to deliver across every leg. What's exciting coming through there is I think Laura's come through with a couple of horses this year. I think London 52 in particular, but Mr. Bass obviously earlier as well. To be able to bring those strings through. See, Bill Levitt's still not too far off. He's 30 points behind on 66. You know, a win at Blair would actually equal where Chris Burton was if he didn't complete at Blair. So there's still lots of maths to be done on who's going to happen and counting those top 5 scores on how it's all going to pan out. But right now, I mean, I think we'd be stopping taking bets on Chris Burton.
There is a long way to go, though, and we saw in Blair a couple of years ago, it didn't go to plan for him with Polystar. Anything can happen with horses. Can we just have a word? Gemma Tattersall, Chicabella Pete, that mare has been 4th in her last 4 Event Rider Masters runs. That is quite some record, despite the fact she's not quite made it onto the podium.
No, but I think, you know, she's riding so well and the horse is looking so good. So it's just one of those things with eventing. Sometimes you just have to wait until your time comes. But if she rides like that, she's not going to be far away.
And in terms of where we go from here, you know, Tim Price has put himself in contention. Wesco has obviously given Tim Price some really valuable points this weekend. Who would be, if you were, you've obviously said you're not taking any more bets on Chris Burton to take the series title this year, but who do you think can finish on the podium with him?
In the series? I think Laura. I think, you know, those two are definitely right out there. I mean, they've got one more big event, one more big challenge to go and do at Blair, but the speed they've shown, that'll be a big challenge at Blair. We'll wait and see how the weather is up there. You know, we still have a good way away now before we get to the last one, so lots can change. Horses need to be fit, riders need to be fit. I think there's lots to play for, but certainly those two at the moment would be the big two. I think Tim Price certainly there, obviously already. If he secures one more result, he should hit that podium. And I wouldn't rule out Bill, actually. He's still sitting a little bit back, but he's had some very good rounds at Blair in the past. I remember it in the last Event Rider Masters there. He was very impressive there. I think Bill might be able to sneak in, and actually, wouldn't that be a bit of a fairy tale for ERM? All the work Bill has put in, I think Bill could potentially see himself on a podium with one more big result at Blair.
How good would it be to see Bill Levitt on the series podium? He supported the series the whole way through, but this weekend here in Jardy, a huge afternoon of sport. We've absolutely enjoyed all those thrills and spills, and it's a man who's not been at the top of the podium who's going to take the title here.
Well, Nicole, thank you so much. For those of you watching around the world, for those of you here in Jardy, thank you for all your support this weekend. What a weekend of action it has been. Some of the stars are right behind me. Izzy Taylor into third with Be Touchable. Congratulations. Great to have you there.
Yeah, very pleased with him. Obviously, very expensive 2 seconds. So I'm ruining that, but he was very good and delighted with him.
You were at the top of the podium in Blenheim last year with him. His form is absolutely fantastic. What can we expect to see from the both of you moving forward?
Yeah, he's a phenomenal horse. You know, he is a little bit fragile, so we look after him. But when he comes out, he goes very well. So we look forward to his next run.
Congratulations, Izzy. Tim Price, you and Wesco are back. We have long awaited this moment. You've gone into second, finishing on your dressage score. Amazing.
Yeah, and I'll take that. He's just a consummate performer, and it's just great to have him back and to have another opportunity to demonstrate that. And it's just so much fun on an old friend like that is so good at the job. So I'm really pleased. We've put this away now, and we look forward to what's around the corner.
Well, you've really laid the marker down now. The future is yours and Wesco's for the taking. What's the plan?
Well, I wouldn't quite go that far, but it is exciting. Don't know the plan yet. The plan was Jardy. Tick that box and we'll have a think about it on the way home. But yeah, it's all very exciting, and what a thrill.
Congratulations, Tim. We're delighted to have Wesco back. But ladies and gentlemen, only one person can take the top of the podium. We've seen him on an Event Rider Masters podium before in Gatcombe. Please give a very warm welcome and congratulations to Alex Bragg. I'm going to have to interrupt the love here, Alex. You too. Congratulations, top spot.
Yeah, over the moon. I was riding like a demon out there. I really wanted it. So, these guys were fast, and I can't believe I was actually faster than Izzy and Gemma. I mean, they're crazy. Tim's quite laid back, so I expected that. But these two girls are fearless out there. So, over the moon. The horse was great. He just, he's got so much experience, and he's back on form, which is super.
Grand National style in the show jumping and Grand National style across the country.
Yeah, you can tell I'm a little bit competitive, and I've got a point to prove this summer and autumn, really, because I didn't have a great spring. So this is a great start, great victory, and I think we'll be popping lots of champagne when we get back to the UK as well. But a great audience here, and everybody in France, thank you very much for accommodating us.
Well, a huge afternoon of sport here, and of course the sport continues for France this afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Jardy Eventing Show for the Leg 5 Event Rider Masters prize giving. Please welcome Emmanuel Feltes, Jardy's event president, to now present our third place finisher. Receiving prize money of €9,500, riding P Touchable, owned by the Dodd family, representing Great Britain, ridden by Izzy Taylor. Please welcome now Lisa Stone, chairman of the Event Rider Masters, to present our second place finisher. Receiving prize money of €13,500, riding Wesco, owned by the late Christina Knudsen, representing New Zealand, Tim Price. And finally, please welcome back Emmanuel Feltes, Jardy's event president, to now present the winner of the Event Rider Masters Leg 5 here at the Jardy Eventing Show. Receiving prize money of €18,000, riding Zagreb, owned by Sally Elcott, representing Great Britain, your winner, Alex Bragg. The owner of Zagreb is presented with a 2-night stay at the Monarch Hotel in Ireland, compliments of the Monarch Elite Event Horse Sales.
Well, Alex Bragg has taken his first ever Event Rider Masters leg here. He's beaten some of the world's best, and what a weekend we have enjoyed. He led from start to finish. It's a hard thing to do, and he absolutely loves the French crowd here. Tim Price and Izzy Taylor picking up good series points, and the series leaderboard sets us into a fantastic finale for the 2018 Event Rider Masters series. We hope that you can join us the 25th and the 26th of August for the series finale. Leg 6, can Chris Burton be Australia's first ever Event Rider Masters series winners? We'll see you in Blair.